Welcome to the Select Board meeting, March 9th, 2026. It is 6:34 PM. Let's get started. Pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Except under Trump. Okay.
All right, so we'll read the mail and then we'll get started with a joint meeting with the planning board. Welcome and thank you for coming. We'll be discussing and possibly voting on the appointment to fill a vacancy on the planning board with the appointee to serve until the May 9th, 2026 town election. Then you guys get to go home, I think.
Yay.
We'll stay here. We'll have department board updates and requests regarding the ban and an affordable housing trust discussion, followed by public input and members updates, appointments for LCTV, a select board discussion on the annual report cover contest, sale of the Orchard House Town Council citizen petition assistance policy, followed by the town administrator, assistant town administrator updates on the select, town meeting survey results, and anything else that comes up, I guess. We'll approve minutes and then we'll be done. We get started with the mail?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So I've let everyone know there are some appointments that are available by the Select Board and different boards and committees, and those are the Agricultural Commission, Committee for the Exploitation of Real Estate Tax Relief for Seniors, Economic Development Committee, Master Plan Implementation Committee, Permanent Municipal Building Committee, Personnel Advisory Committee, Zoning Board of Appeals. One position that is appointed by the town administrator. There's an opening in the Affordable Housing Trust. And there's an appointment by the Select Board and Planning Board, joint member that Madam Chairwoman just announced that will be on tonight's agenda for the Planning Board. And last but not least, there's an appointment by Littleton Electric Light and Water Department for their Finance Committee. Okay, sign up to receive public notifications for the town of Littleton. Scan the QR code on the screen to register or go to www.littletonma.org/subscribe. Community impacts, public safety activity, transportation issues, town meeting changes, town events, public health concerns. Stay informed. DPW. Hopefully we won't need this anymore for a little while. DPW seeking snowplow contractors for the 25-26 winter season. Packets available at the DPW office at 39 Air Road, on the DPW website, or call 978-540-2670 for information. Rates begin at $100 an hour and up to $153 per hour, depending on the equipment. Incentive sign-on bonus of up to $1,000. Need ice melt, sand mix, get a bucket delivered for free. Sand for seniors through Littleton Elder and Human Services, Council and Agent. If it's necessary, please call 978-540-2470. And we're moving on to the Select Board office hours. And Wednesday, March 25th, Wednesday, April 22nd, Wednesday, May 27th, and Wednesday, June 24th, all of those dates from 4 to 6 p.m., hosted by Mr. Rambacher. And here we have a notification from the ABCC advisory regarding non-consensual drugging occurring at bars, clubs, and other licensed premises. We have received this, and we have distributed it amongst all the people in the town, all the entities in town that have a liquor license. Lisa did that as soon as she received it. Here we've got some gift acceptance forms from Digital Federal Credit Union in the amount of $1,000 for fire services for the town, for the Littleton Fire Department. Thank you very much. Another one for the Littleton Fire Department, Taka of Littleton, $1,000 donation for the fire services for the town. Thank you very much. And a third one from Brenda McCurdy, $52 a donation for the fire services for the town, for the Littleton Fire Department. Thank you very much. And gift acceptance form from the town clerk from LELWD in the amount of $16,400. It is for the grant for the shed, payment for the election shed, in which LELWD was kind enough to provide those funds for, and I believe the tech will be building it. I believe so. And here we have a gift acceptance form for Liz, for EHS, the parting gift, the party offering the gift, it's the Mass Association of Council on Aging, the amount of $250 for physical fitness classes. And here we have notification in regards to certification for Chapter 90 appropriation from the Governor's Office. And you can see for FY27, it's in the amount of $612,825.22. As a point of information, FY25's allotment was $397,562, and FY26 was $615,510. And that's it, Madam Chair.
Mr. Chairman, are you all in session?
Yes. Planning Board's here with you to talk about the first issue was implied in your introduction is whether we have an appointment. When we look at it, we have a meeting March 19th. We will have a meeting in April, and then that's it until after the election. Anyone who's appointed will not be able to vote on any matter, on any hearing disposition that has been opened before their appointment. It doesn't mean there couldn't be a contribution, but if, I think my board has varying views on whether we need this appointment. I'm going to invite them to speak.
So, can I ask a quick?
Yeah.
I thought you couldn't participate in a hearing if there were already 2 meetings on the hearing, not if the hearing was open.
You can't miss more than one meeting.
Right. So if there's already been 2 meetings, you can't, but
I don't know. I'm repeating what Maren told me.
And there's a difference between a hearing and a meeting, too.
Yeah. We've had some informational meetings that, of course, would be open for review, but we've also opened a hearing for the next site plan review for 550 King.
Right. So I know you had one meeting with the residentials, but you haven't had.
Had 2. I don't know, Mark.
So that's my question,
Yeah.
right? Because if they can still vote on that, then it makes sense. If they can't, then maybe it doesn't, right?
Yes.
But my reading of the bylaw was that they could if they've only missed 1 meeting, not, which.
I just go by what Maren told me. She's not, unfortunately, she's gone.
And I'll start, because I told Jeff I would. It's 1 meeting. We don't really need to appoint somebody for 1 meeting. We can get through April. May's the election. If there's 3 or 4 people running, it doesn't make sense to give one person and then bring them for the rest of them. I'm happy that there are people running for planning. I think that's great. It should be another playing field by appointing one person for 1 meeting. I don't think we really need it. And that's my personal opinion. I don't know the rest of the board.
I hadn't considered that when Mark has made that there would be an advantage to the person appointed and during the election. And apparently at this point, 3 of the 4 people have pulled papers, I think, to run.
I don't believe so. As of today, I mean, I looked, you had Mr. Moore, who was rescinded.
Right.
So that's one of the
Right.
builders we were talking about, I think. Are you?
No, Miss.
Who pulled? Mark, yes, Ms. Bloomstein. She pulled papers.
And then someone told me that Peter Scott pulled. Not as of today? Okay. The question remains, does that give, does appointing either one of those two people give an unfair advantage during an election?
I'll say that I'm a little surprised that this is even under question. I wasn't informed of that ahead of time, and a citation would have been helpful. We could have talked to the council, gotten their opinion. So this is, I'll say, it's a little disappointing. That
Okay.
This is the first time I'm hearing that this appointment is not something that the planning board is considering, you know. not
That's
doing.
what Mark said. I don't know, let's hear from the other members. Carol?
Yeah, I was also looking at, there's only, I think we only have 2 posted meetings until the election, that an interim person at this point doesn't make any sense for having their opinions expressed for 2 meetings, and then, and then if they are running for the thing, I'm reluctant to appoint them, given that there's possibly multiple people running for the position, but they would give them some kind of advantage for it, of which we're then down left to whoever chose not to run, and then we're only talking for 2 months. To me, it just doesn't really serve any value to the planning board. Nothing that we have coming up on our agenda requires, a 5-of-5 vote. Everything can be voted within the members that are currently on the board there. So my opinion at this point is that I don't think we need to do this appointment. If this was 6 months to the election, or 8 months, where we'd have a lot of business before the board and more activity, to me, that would make more sense. But given how close to the election, I'm not seeing it.
Well, I understand the reasoning over there. I think that having an additional voice would be beneficial, and I am happy to have a new member on board.
How do you feel about the unfair advantage of appointing someone who is running?
I don't think it's much of an advantage. I think, having been on the board for 2 months and not having much of a record isn't much of an advantage.
Okay. I came to the board being appointed by you guys. At that point, it was January. And there was a specific issue that the planning board needed to take care of at that town meeting. So anyway, I invite comments from you guys. I think that you can see that we're ambivalent.
I mean, so a couple things for me. I just confirmed with the town clerk, we had one person pull papers, and she's here today.
Okay.
Okay, so I look at it more as, if you're committed, I wouldn't appoint someone if they said they weren't going to run,
Oh, interesting.
to me,
Yeah.
for this short period of time. If you had 6 months of business,
Yeah.
a little bit more, but when you just said 2 meetings, I look at it more as you're giving someone the opportunity to hit the ground running, where you have one, how much time do we have to pull papers now? You're coming down to a week. You have to turn them in 2 weeks. So next week, you've got to have your papers pulled by, and we don't have anybody that's done that yet, besides one individual. So
Oh, one person has turned them in?
no, one person has pulled papers.
Pulled.
So
Some
that-
people have
so-
given their intentions.
And what are we talking, that's why I'm saying, what are we talking about? We're talking about someone's going to pull last second?
Yeah.
I mean, who is that person? Right now, we have someone that's an individual here that's shown interest and seems committed, and I look at it more as this is someone that you could hit the ground running and learn a little bit of experience in how the board works procedurally and things like that before town meeting. So that's
fair.
That's
Okay.
right.
Any other comments?
Yeah, can I jump in?
Yep.
I respect what you're saying, Gary, but those are the rules of the game. You get to pull papers up to such and such a date, then you get to pull them in turn them in by the following Tuesday. So I wouldn't see that as an advantage. I think the fact that there isn't going to be any matter before them, you guys have one meeting that this person would be able to contribute at, and if someone wants to hit the ground running, they could be showing up at these, any meetings that the planning board has, the hearings, to do just that. And, everybody's going to bring something different to the table, and I think that just kind of open it up. And if someone decides to pull later than another person, I don't think that's a specific greater commitment for someone that, is going to do it. A lot goes on in people's lives, and they just might not have gotten there to do it. So a couple of people have expressed interest in pulling papers. So I kind of concur with Mark and Darrell, and think that I don't think it's going to be fruitful to bring somebody on board. And it's certainly a board where, there's a reason it's 5 years. It takes you about 5 years to kind of get your legs under you, and it's a challenging board, and there's a lot of information, and you guys learn something new at every meeting, I'm sure. But I don't think this one meeting is going to give someone that runway that you're speaking to.
Right, if I may just respond. So let's just say on the 22nd of March, I think papers have to be turned in by the 23rd, is that?
The following Tuesday.
Have to be returned by the 23rd. So say on the 22nd, this board was to meet, and we're in the same situation, and we still had one person that pulled papers for the planning board, would you feel differently? I guess that's what I would ask the planning.
Yes, I would feel differently. If you hold this off until the 22nd and only one person, then I guess I would agree.
Would that change your mind?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, at that point, if there's only going to be one person.
It only would help the board at that.
But I mean, while it's open for people to pull papers until it's definitive that there's only one person running, I'd have to wait to that date.
So when do you meet again?
19th.
You meet, okay. So you can meet right before that. I'll go with my first statement, what I believe makes sense. It's because what we have in front of us right now is showing we have such trouble getting volunteers anyway. We have an individual that has shown interest in the long-term appointment.
But they haven't turned their papers in either.
Correct.
Just like Steve Moore hadn't turned his papers in
Right.
either. Pulling papers does not mean returning papers.
No, we have the individual here today that can be asked that question. Are you going to turn your papers? That was part of this,
But
part of the
what's
process.
before us is nobody's returned their papers.
That's true, but they've expressed enough interest to pull their papers.
Just
So,
Yeah, I'm done. I understand what you're saying.
you two can.
I don't think that attending one meeting is going to give anybody an advantage in the election. I don't think that the voters in this town weigh that super heavily. And I think if someone is interested in running, even just to the point of pulling papers, go ahead and appoint them. If they only attend one meeting, it's one more meeting that they would attend if they win, and if they don't win, they wasted 3 hours of their life. So I don't see a downside, is what I'm saying.
That's optimistic.
Yeah. That's my opinion.
So I think if we were deciding not to appoint this position, we should have decided it before we posted that the position was open and accepting applications. This position has been, we advertised it for a month, basically, and now we're going to say, because it's too close, we're not going to do it. Well, then we should have not advertised it. So, and they would be missing 2 meetings, and if if you guys open any hearings in one of these meetings and they were elected, then there's the question of what they'd be able to do or not. So, I think since we advertised it as a position that we were going to fill, we're kind of obligated to fill it.
Well, and we have 2 candidates here today, correct?
Yeah. 2 of the 3.
2 of the 3, and the third pulled, is not going to.
Well, there were 4.
Oh, there were, okay. Okay, who's not here in attendance? Okay, Mr. Scott, I believe was the other one, okay.
Yeah, I just don't, we're in, I was going to say low-key, we're not even in a low-key crisis in terms of residents, being able or being willing to fill positions. And I just don't think that advertising for 30 days, I mean, we knew what the 30-day deadline was 30 days ago. I don't think that advertising for a position and then deciding at the last minute that actually, no, we're not going to do this, is keeping good faith with the folks who have taken the time to express their interest. And so I would be in favor of moving forward.
Mark and Darrell.
Well, the only thing I was gonna say, is the only reason we said this a month ago was to do what we were legally bound to do. We have a vacancy, made the selectmen grab it. I don't think we never really discussed it as a board before this, because I don't know if we ever honestly thought that we were going to appoint somebody. I think the understanding was we only had a couple of meetings, and we all just talked about amongst ourselves that it wasn't really worth it to do it. I don't know how you can pick between two people and say one's not going to have an advantage. If somebody's already on the board, most people come, they look at the ballot, it's not the same company. I get that part of it, but it's going to be somebody that some people are already done and is already on the board. Well, just keep that. I just don't see an advantage in one meeting to make that kind of decision. That's all I'm trying to say. Really, if we're talking one meeting.
2 meetings. You have 2 meetings scheduled before the election.
Yes.
So just to be clear, it's not 1, it's 2. And you can argue that 2 doesn't matter, but it is 2, it's not 1.
Okay, well, we have 20 meetings a year. 2 meetings is not insurmountable, and I don't understand what's going to change in 2 meetings. There's 4 board members that have heard everything so far for the past 8 or 10 months. One more meeting, one more person who may not be able to. The Mullen rule specifically states 1 meeting. You can only miss 1 meeting.
Yes.
Okay, they've already missed 1 meeting.
Yes.
Okay, so they can't do anything. We have an informal discussion coming up on the 19th, so it's an informal discussion. We have a meeting that's already been posted, we already had 1 meeting. They can't do anything with it. So it's really, we have no meetings.
You can miss no more than 1 meeting. It doesn't say you can miss, you can miss a meeting. You've had a meeting. Right? If you,
The point is, we're talking about 1 meeting here. That's all we're talking about. You're going to make a decision between 2 candidates for one that we don't even think we need. Most of us on this board don't think we need a second person, a 5th person.
so, do you believe that the issue will be closed out before the election?
Which issue?
The residential hearing that's open.
It depends on peer review.
So if it's not closed out before the election and you've had other meetings, then, and we appoint someone, they wouldn't be able to vote.
First of all,
If we appoint them, they could vote.
you know, we can get into hypotheticals, but in this particular hearing, it's not really important who gets picked, because that particular issue needs 3 votes. It doesn't need all 4, doesn't, so there's that. But I want to get back to.
No, but they
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to vote, right?
Yeah.
If the hearing for the residential goes until May and we don't appoint someone tonight, whoever's elected in May.
They would not be able to.
Cannot
vote.
ever vote.
Yes, yeah.
If we appoint someone tonight and they're the one that gets elected, they can vote.
Yes.
They've missed 1 meeting.
So, this is what I suggest. Everyone's had a chance to say something. Let's just put it to a vote. I don't know how this works.
Yeah.
Is it 9 of us, or?
It's a joint
Yeah,
appointment.
so,
So I just want to make a final point regarding, putting your thumb on the scale, so to speak. I don't understand how following the law and following our clear guidelines for how to do this is somehow biased, but deciding not to do it is preserving.
yeah, I think that issue is being
Objectivity.
confused with what will happen next about who we appoint. And that discussion happens, do you appoint the person who's here and, filing or not?
True. And I'm
So,
not addressing that
to-
point.
Okay.
I'm addressing the point that, that I think Mr. Montanari is making, which is that to appoint anybody for any reason at this point is creating a bias towards that person in the election. And everybody had 30 days to put their papers in, or their, on this. Everybody's had plenty of time to pull their papers if that's what they wanted to do. But what we were planning to do tonight was following the guidelines.
Why don't you ask the two people that are here whether they think there's a bias if one of them gets elected over there?
I don't care what they say.
What's the same? They're the ones that are gonna live by it.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
This is a law that's procedurally.
Everybody in
We're
town had
not,
the
we're not
same
doing
shot.
anything that we're not supposed to do
I
here.
get that, but
I'd be,
we're talking one meeting.
I know, but
Yeah, so why are we making such a
I'm
big
just
deal
thinking
out
if
of
it
one
was a
meeting?
select board, we would do the same thing. If it was any of the statutory boards, we would do the same thing. So
Appoint someone.
bottom line is we put this out, we put this on the agenda. Applicants applied and applicants are here to be heard. And I just think that's procedurally, I think we should follow through with that.
Okay, so Jeff, are you proposing that we first vote on whether to make an appointment? Is that what
Yeah.
you're proposing?
Yeah, because that's what we've been discussing. And I think that people have varying opinions, but I particularly am swayed by the fact that it's advertised and people have followed our things. So I think we should vote on that, and then we can go to who gets appointed.
Let's do it.
Gary, do you want to make a motion?
So, just
Yes,
a
go
point
ahead.
of order, is this one vote, or is it two votes? A vote for our board and,
I believe it's one vote with nine people voting. I think that's what we've done in the past when we had joint appointments.
we've done it both ways.
Majority.
Okay, well then,
That's why-
that's entirely
that's
possible.
And maybe I'm wrong, maybe we
Majority
don't
of the
need to
nine.
take a vote
Okay.
on whether we do it or not.
I think because
Because we
there's
could be split.
two bodies, if we vote as a body on whether to move forward with the appointment, that's tricky.
Okay.
So I think,
You want to do two different votes?
yes, I want to do two votes. First, whether we should move forward with an appointment, and then who to appoint. Whom?
I'll make a motion to move forward with the appointment of the vacant planning board seat, the temporary appointment for the planning board seat that will run until the elections on May 7th.
Second.
Moved, then we each, let me vote, right? Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew.
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those
Call,
opposed?
please.
You want to do a roll
Roll
call?
call?
We have a roll call
Okay.
just to, please.
Chuck?
My gut is to say no, but the point that it's been posted, I'm going to vote yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
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 No.
Okay.
No.
And I'm a yes.
No.
And
Yes.
Bartlett? Bartlett's a yes, and I'm a yes.
was a reason you put me
7 yeas, 2 nays.
Okay, all right, motion carries. Next, we move on to who?
And you guys are the ones making the appointments. We've all gotten the,
It's still
It's a
a
joint
vote.
appointment.
oh, I know, but I don't know the process.
I see.
Yeah.
I think hearing from the candidates
Yep.
is a good start.
Okay.
Are they in order here? What's the order? Okay, first posted is, the first in the agenda packet is Peter Scott.
Mr. Scott is
Mr.
here.
Scott is not here. Next is Margot Bloomstein. I guess if you have anything prepared or you want to say anything to start, go ahead, and then maybe we'll do some questions. Sounds good. Yeah, have a seat.
Thank you very much for, for the opportunity to apply for this position and for this position to be evaluated for the board at this point, for this appointment. As you probably saw in my application, I'm not a developer, I'm not an architect. I'm somebody that has worked with a builder to design and build a custom home. And I grew up in a house where my parents were pulling plans and figuring out how it would situate on the land and building a home. I'm a brand and content strategy consultant. So that means for 25 years, I've worked with organizations across the country as well as across the world, locally with Harvard and Tufts, Fidelity, Timberland, Puma, Sallie Mae, Genzyme, others to help them clarify their communication goals and then engage their target audiences, primarily online. But so much of my work focuses on figuring out if you're some sort of entity, corporate or government or otherwise, or nonprofit, and you're trying to engage with an audience, how do you preserve what is kind of true about yourself? It's kind of like what it says over the entrance to the temple in Delphi, Nati Sotam, know thyself. But also, how do you meet the needs of your constituents, your audience, in this case, your residents? And so I help people and the organizations with which they want to coexist understand each other and build trust and better communicate. And I think that idea of clear communication and building trust through transparency, those are common threads across my consulting, teaching, writing, as well as volunteer work. Locally, I volunteer with Girl Scout Troop 64187. I help to organize activities as a 4th grade classroom parent, as well as I serve on the Russell Street School Advisory Council. I'm also on the advisory council for Carnegie Mellon University's School of Design, and then I'm also an adjunct lecturer at Bentley University and a graduate program lecturer in a university program based in Austria. I've lived in Littleton since 2014. Before that, in Lowell, I went to school in Pittsburgh, and my roots are in upstate New York, in a town 3 hours west of here that is also of Revolutionary era, a bit smaller than Littleton. Here in Littleton, I love the variety that we have. I love the thoughtfully developed mix of accessible retail as well as the wide open spaces. Whenever my parents come out to visit from that little town that's just a bit smaller than Littleton, they always rave about, like, oh, we've got all these supermarkets close to us, because we did not have that back home, but also miles of hiking trails and Revolutionary era landmarks. I don't know if they know as much about those, but also our spectacular library, and that it's all within 10 minutes of each other. I see the planning board as an opportunity to plan for and continue to manage sustainable economic growth in our area, to continue to meet the needs of residents now, as well as thoughtfully into the future, with sort of just enough, not too much, whether that applies to parking structures, the asphalt that we're bringing in, big businesses, small businesses, and entrepreneurial opportunities, and bylaws and constraints. I believe in the opportunity that guardrails and guidelines give us for governance and growth. I think our planning board has a lot of power to shape the future of our community, and a lot of responsibility to do it in an economically sustainable, environmentally friendly, and user-friendly way. That last portion has been something that has been bugging me a lot over the past couple of years as I've attended planning board meetings, or as a resident just watch things coming out of our planning board. And I'm not approaching this out of like spite or like, oh, I wish they did this differently, but feeling that I can contribute in a way, even just over the next couple of months. Not in the context of votes, but I know that there's more than just voting too. There's also the discussion and the research that goes into that. I want to see us embrace those responsibilities for community outreach and better communication. I mean, we talk about transparency, and it's such a buzzword in marketing circles, or really in anything involving people, and I wonder, well, what can we do to better operationalize transparency, to bring more people in so that they're aware of what's going on in not just our planning board, but in their planning board, in our community's planning board. I want to make sure that we embrace those responsibilities for outreach and communication. If we're granting waivers to developers, I want to ensure that residents see equal or greater benefits. I want somebody on the board that thinks in terms of user research and has the humility to gird their knowledge with the expertise of others, and can cultivate more open communication so that our community shows up not just when they're like angry about something that they've kind of heard in rumors that may or may not be going down, but so that they continue to show up to hold our board and all of our boards in the community accountable to the residents that elect them. And hopefully we increase the participation rate at those elections too. So I think of this as a case of civic stewardship and responsibility, and I'm eager to contribute and collaborate to better serve our town.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you have been at many of our recent meetings where you have also been late.
Thank you.
Do we want to start with Q&A with Margo, or do we want to see if Mark wants to speak first? How do we typically do it?
It goes both ways.
After story.
She's here now, so. Old guy on the board.
Q&A, probably not.
All right, so, does anybody on our side, on our board have questions?
On our side.
Teams. Us and them.
Is Bartlett?
Collaborative.
And then there's Bartlett is Switzerland.
Except Bartlett, we just push on the side there.
This is a weird sort of red rover thing going on here. What questions can I answer?
What's the status of you turning your papers in? I mean, I noticed that you pulled them a while ago, but you still haven't turned them in.
Yeah, I think I pulled them about a week, no, it was just about a week ago. And there's room for 64 signatures between the two sheets, and I've gotten 32 I hit this afternoon. So I'm hoping to finish it up over the next few days.
Did you bring them with you?
I did, yeah.
Okay, good.
Not in town hall, not in town
Yeah,
hall.
it feels a little conflict interesting.
We're just testing you.
I would say just that they check the signatures and the addresses, so make sure everyone's legible and,
I've gotten the printed names next to them too, that's what,
okay.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Diane gave me lots of good wisdom on
Good.
that.
Any questions?
Do you have time to do this?
That's an excellent question. So that's a question I've been discussing with my family back there a lot as well. So right now where I am in my career, as a consultant, my clients kind of ebb and flow. Over the past year, I was kind of building up in some areas, and then my main client is going to be wrapping up very shortly. And over the past year, I've been trying to kind of focus more on community involvement, and this is what I see as kind of the next opportunity around that. But that's a question that I've been asking. I mean, I got together with Gary for coffee, and I was like, tell me what that's like, time commitment and whatnot, and yeah.
Shouldn't have asked him.
I mean, I think your words were, you can give it 8 hours a week, you can give it 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
and it varies for people. And I think that I want to make sure doing this that I can do it well. Not to be all Emerson, close to Concord here, but so I view this as you're just saying, like somebody that moves into or runs for election. If elected, it would be great if they have got this time to kind of hit the ground running and all. I view this as an opportunity to start building up knowledge, and it definitely seems like early on in kind of your engagement with the board, I'd imagine that you're giving it a lot more time a week.
One of the things that we have had on our list this year, and it was actually a pet project of Anna's, was, although nothing was accomplished, was to onboard potential members, because there has been no onboarding in the past. I don't know what you guys do, but and you know, and what that means, I don't know, but you know, we need to make a, even if it's just a simple, this is how we do it type thing. But anyway, so that strikes close to one of our goals, is, you know, getting people up and running.
Still have a few months.
Yeah.
I would say I have appreciated your online presence recently, that you've been really clear and about what's happening and trying to, you know, engage residents who might not otherwise be engaged, and encouraging them to attend meetings, encouraging them to, you know, look at look at the websites, look at the materials, and I thought you applied a very even hand, even though you were clearly coming from a certain point of view. But, it's easy to get carried away, especially online. And so I appreciated that very much.
Thank you.
What prompted you to come to the planning board meeting? Was there a specific project that you were concerned about or were interested in?
I think learning more about the 550 King Street development. I think especially with regard to, I'll be honest and say I'm somebody that voted for it because I loved the ideas that were starting to come to light around 2021 when Mr. Lupoli spoke at one of our meetings and said he saw it as a place for small business, small entrepreneurs, other small shops, and I admit I heard that and thought, another small coffee shop. And then knowing that we need to bring more affordable housing and just more housing in general into Littleton and seeing it as this residential opportunity with small businesses supporting it. And at the time I did not know that much about the form-based code. I've been learning more and more about that. But seeing that as kind of the vision for it, and then seeing the plans develop that felt like, wait, it's less about those small businesses. Now it's a lot of big businesses. And then when I attended a meeting in this room several months ago, where they described it as a mid-sized lifestyle development. And I have a cousin that's
I'm glad you said that, because there were more words on that. I think it was a super regional mid-size lifestyle development.
Bracketed by exciting on both ends.
Yeah.
And I have a cousin-in-law who is a mall developer in the Midwest. And so I heard that and I was like, that's a mall in Littleton. And they stood there here very excitedly, the team, and said how there would be an Anthropologie and a Sephora and whatnot. And I mean, I'm somebody, I like Anthropologie and Sephora, but I was like, that's not what we were promised. I don't know how I feel about that. And then as I was digging in more, it didn't feel right. So I wanted to see where the constructive opportunities were to shift it to meet the needs of the town, the diverse array of residents that are here, and still meet some of the needs of the developer that wants to invest in our town too. So that was what drew me to it. Thank you.
Where do you view the role of the planning board is on versus the developer on these things? You don't get to pick whether this is Sephora or not. He does.
Right.
Right? You don't get to pick whether there's a Market Basket or anything. Where do you...
Or a Toyota dealership.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
There's only one member in this room that was on that board.
So...
Where do you view, I mean, where do you view the planning board and where do you view, where you hope to influence and?
I view the planning board as first working for the residents of Littleton. And that means that if the people on the planning board maybe all have maybe similar economic or demographic background, but it's our responsibility to go out and cultivate that input. To reduce friction between the residents and the board that is representing their interests and open up more lines of communication to find out what is going to meet your needs. I think we take in that kind of input and balance it with what we know is necessary from state guidance and regulations coming down. What we see is the overall economic future and development needs of the town, especially around transportation, especially around environmental concerns, to be able to make good decisions on behalf of the residents. And I think that goes into how we choose to engage with the developers, because yes, you're right, we can't tell them, to my knowledge so far, we can't tell them here's what you have to do, but we can tell them, well, these are the bylaws with which you have to comply. If you're going to be bringing in these sort of retailers, they have to comply with with this sort of guidance around their signage and whatnot, and billboards, et cetera. So I think we can put those rules in place, but we also need to hold them to those rules. So I see us serving as the advocate for residents with that long-term, broader vision in mind.
Thank you.
Does my board have any questions?
Yeah, I'm, my family says I'm one of the worst communicators in the world, so I'm kind of interested in what you see the planning board being able to do to increase communication. There's no newspaper in town, and I'm a newspaper kind of a person, so I don't know what to do next.
That is totally fair. So I would say if your family is saying that you're one of the worst communicators, that's a good first step, because they're telling you, hey, we need not to use you as an object lesson here. It doesn't get awkward at all there. But they're saying this is what we need to be different. And I think if our town is saying, and I've heard from a lot of people as I've been collecting these signatures, like, oh, we don't have that newspaper anymore, and like we can get some things through the town, but not enough. And I think when people are expressing, here's my need, that means that they're still open to more input. When I look at communication holistically, I think the three main pillars to building trust with an audience, I shouldn't say an audience because it implies that it's like one too many, but to build trust with the other people around you are voice, volume, and vulnerability. And I think voice comes down to how we can speak in a more consistent manner so that people can come to expect that, all right, when they're using this sort of language, maybe it's legalese, I don't need to like go into a lot of detail there, but when things are being explained in this way, this is the information to which I most need to pay attention. I've heard like some pushback on how well our town and maybe our government as a whole does with triaging information. But at the federal level, the U.S. Plain Language Act requires that even town governments speak in a way that is accessible to people with an 8th grade reading level. You know, it's things like shorter sentences, speaking in active voice, that kind of stuff. So that's about speaking in a consistent voice. Volume refers to the level of detail that we offer. That is not always consistent and accessible to people. I think especially when we're sharing things like 550 King Street or what's happening around like MBTA and whatnot. So I think people don't always know like how to get into that information. And then that third pillar, vulnerability, I think that's where we embrace the opportunity to say, we don't always know what everyone needs. So here's how we're opening up additional avenues to solicit input and talk with residents. Because not all town meetings, not all board meetings are accessible to everyone. But I think the onus is on us to say, okay, we need to get input. What do we have to do for it?
And I would say, you'd mentioned we had coffee. It was when, Margot's been one of the neighbors the neighbor, I should say, that whenever things come up in town, either construction or hot topic things, I get a text. It's usually several pages of, interest and wants to understand and constantly looking for knowledge and why things are a certain way and how we can change things. So when I found out she was interested in running for not the temporary necessarily, but the actual planning board position, we decided to have coffee. And much of what we heard here today, I heard across the table at Kimball. So I was fascinated. I think you'd make a great member of the planning board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You had to go outside of Littleton to have a
It's kind of annexed.
That's getting a little close too. I know we got to find another place.
Yeah. Hopefully there'll be some other places. And I just have to, I love your talk about, your overall communication talk. but we have been, and it's very frustrating, maybe if you come on the board, you would have some ideas. We have been looked in the eyes and said, I have never heard about this, when they had been mailed a certified letter. You know, just telling them what was going on. So
volume.
it's a tough thing. I mean, it's worth,
I've been sued and didn't know.
you know, working on and trying, but it's not obvious what to do, so.
Yeah,
anyway.
that repetition definitely helps
Yeah.
in engaging through
And,
multiple
you know,
channels.
other people talking, and, yeah,
Mm.
so, anyway.
Thank you.
Actually, can I ask just one more of a comment, just to follow up? You said, and I think we all subscribe to this, we want to make the best decision for Littleton, you know, the best decision for the most residents. And sometimes it's not necessarily our opinion, but we, you know, read the room, and we realize that this is what the residents want. So how comfortable are you kind of making the decision on behalf of the town, even if it's alternate to what you think?
Could I add to your question just a little bit?
Sure.
Because by the time you ask a couple of different people, you are going to end up with conflicting opinions about what is the best direction forward, which is something we face all the time there. So I think factor that in with the comment there that we don't have 100% consensus on what is best ever there, and your approach to making the hard call about which way the decision has to go, I think would be consistent with what you're asking there. Sorry to jump on your question there, but I was going to ask.
You did a much better job than I did.
I use shorter sentences.
I think a lot of that comes down to looking more long-term. Maybe it's like if you're, you know, out on the road or something, you can't just be like getting that like object fixation of like, I'm going there, but thinking, where am I going? Kind of like that long-term path to sort of set your course. And I guess that's how I look at a lot of decision-making, whether I've heard conflicting perspectives from people around me, or even in my own head and heart, where I'm like, I can see the value of both of these. Usually the things that really drive my vision are what is going to make this a positive outcome in the long term, and how can we kind of think in terms of like as long a term horizon as possible. I know that was one of the questions that I had when I sat down with Gary. Like, have there been times that like you vote on something where you're like, this is what's best for the town, but it's not really with my gut. And I guess I see the challenge in that. I don't have a problem, I guess, embracing that challenge. Yeah, I guess the decision-making process for me is looking at like what will be the best outcome on like the longest timeline, because I mean, maybe I'm a resident here for another, we'll say modern medicine's really good, another 50 plus years. But I want to think of what do I want Littleton to be like for the people that we hope to attract and the people that will be growing up here then. What do I want to be better about it, even if I may not necessarily reap those benefits? And what do I want to preserve about it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Steve Moore is the next in the packet, but Mr. Moore rescinded his application. He gave notice to the town clerk this morning. So we have Mike Zeldin. Come have a seat, Mike. Just for novelty's sake, I should have put you first with your last name starting with C.
That would require a total readjustment. I actually came partly prepared for about
Fantastic.
maybe 2 minutes. Okay. Because I had served on the master plan preparation, then it's implementation, and then, as luck would have it, I was elected to the Board of Health when I consider the town went through a trial by fire. And I believe strongly in trial by fire. It's the best experience. I can recommend it all to all of you who've never experienced being at least part of the focus of a trial by fire, except when there's a pandemic. The only thing that may come close to it, I never experienced it, but I did talk to people who have a trial by fire. Fortunately for me, I was able to meet, and this is a long time ago, which dates me, of course, but I did have an opportunity, mainly through my ex-wife at the time, to have some long conversations with the folks who were trying to go to the moon. And I was pleased to be, and also dismayed to discover that due to technical limitations at the time, the landing was done by a human landing a machine that no one was sure was going to work in that environment. And I asked the question of both of them when they returned, and they looked at me and they said, it's trial by fire. In other words, until they actually did it, who knows? I don't consider being on the planning board to fit into that quite, but that pretty well summarizes my resume, which I didn't supply, I just gave the offices and appointments, that the few that I have served on time. I'm here tonight because I want to give something back to the community. I didn't anticipate any trial by fire as a result of that. However, I was very surprised when an opportunity came up that meant that I could not serve on the planning board for any length of time. I'm certainly be happy to, if you decide to have someone temporary, because very frankly, it would make it easier for me to ask questions of whoever comes up without a vote. Not that it doesn't mean anything to me, it's not my main motive here. Let me just read you the stimulus for this. And it comes from actually the onboarding section of, actually comes from the state. It's the part of your onboarding reading that you take. Now I'm just going to read to you what comes right out. And it comes in a document which describes what is the purpose of the planning board. And I found this informative. This is my second time going over it. The first time was when we did the implementation, try to get what was in the master plan, get it done with a group, one of whom is sitting right here. He's was part of the team. It was always good to see them still around. Here's what the purpose is according to what's officially out there. For the benefit of the town of Littleton, Massachusetts, and to keep our town a good place in which to live and work, preserve its historic rural character and its agricultural open land, and for the purposes stated in chapters 40A, 40B, and 41 of the general laws as amended and under the authority thereof of Article 89 of the amendments to the Constitution, the use of land, buildings, and structures in this town is hereby regulated as herein provided. What pops out at me at the beginning and still pops out at me is the purpose of the planning board, which is to, among other things, just to repeat, preserve its historic rural character and its agricultural open land, and for the purposes stated in 48, 40B, and 41, all of which call the planning board to do its best as can to build as many houses of different sorts as it can. So the planning board has been put in a position, due to economic, legal, and other restrictions, of being, as it were, not necessarily powerless to do this, but have to ask the question, if they're not powerless, what is the consequence of it? What has been the consequence? And the consequence has been, I think, from my point of view, reactionary. You can only do what's, as I think has been said here already, what's presented to you. Maybe the time has come, in view of what Littleton is emerging to be, because it's still unclear to me after all these years, that we don't have a self-felt identity. It's not just due to the planning board or the select board or anyone else. It's not a criticism. There is a large city known as Los Angeles where I double dare anyone to find out what's really LA. well, we're in the same category. What's really Littleton? And it's rather startling to be compared to that megalopolis, but it's close. But you ask anyone in the LA area, who are you? And you'll get, not just because you have different characteristics from each of them, but if you go to New York, you get a very different answer. If you go to Boston, you're sure as heck going to get a different answer. And if you go to Harvard, Mass, you're going to get a different, I mean, I'll go on and on, but I think you get the drift. And it's reflected also in the fact that during one of the many efforts to develop business, more importantly, residences and businesses to support the economic foundation of the town, people say, what do you want it to look like? Thus the origins, by the way, of form-based code. They'll talk to us about a street in Acton. And I never understood it personally, exactly what it was about that street in Acton, because yes, it looks like Acton, but I hope no one here from Acton or feels allegiance, but we're not that shabby. So part of the reason that I was interested in joining the board until the other assignment made its appearance is I would have the time to really think about and work with the other members, whoever they would be, to try to identify what is it we're trying to do here, given the limitations of the board that's put upon the board both legally and otherwise. Where does the leadership come for breaking the point? Do we have a chance? And if we don't have a chance, what is our alternatives? What is going to be? Going from spot to spot to spot to spot, going from development to development to development may not be the way to go. There's got to be a concept somewhere that says, this is who we want to be, this is where we're going to put our resources and our talents. Unfortunately, I can't be part of that discussion in a way I would feel empowered, but I don't feel necessary to be empowered to participate in that discussion. Because one thing about this board and most of the boards, and frankly the people in town, is people here are open for discussion. The only time I've ever heard anyone, shall we say, not push back, but I've only heard it in the environment of fear and, I wouldn't call it ignorance, but some information, especially about viruses, can't be known by everybody. Especially ones when you understand, at least they're invisible to our eyes. We can't see them, so it's an unseen terror. So that has to be, that one is understandable, but what we're dealing with here is right in front of us. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do you want to go first?
Well, Mr. Zeldin has been at many meetings recently also, and he has also spoken very eloquently about the matters before us. As we can tell, he can do that. And his past work on the master plan and the form-based code resulted. It's really interesting because I live in the common, and when the sewer stuff came to the fore, I really didn't want to support it unless there was some change to the zoning, which ended up being form-based code, and then I could support it. So in that case, you know, a lot of different things in the town, a lot of wheels turning, a lot of it, you know, all came together. So anyway, thank you for your service.
Mr. Zeldin, are you saying you're not going to pull papers and run for the permanent board?
In good conscience, I can't.
Is it the 5-year thing?
Oh, it's 2 years.
Oh, 2 years.
It's two, no, it has nothing to do with 2 years is the same as 5. I mean, of course, there are other events in the world that do take
Yes,
longer.
of course.
We're in the middle of one of them.
Okay.
And
Anyone else from my board?
So what do you see is the, you know, you talked about the challenges in general, you know, and this longing for that people have for a time that hasn't existed for quite some time in town. Right, I mean, I've been in this area for 40 plus years, and coming into Littleton from down, you know, from Westford, it's always been 2 industrial buildings and 2 huge parking lots. So I don't know what this longing people have for time gone by is. I don't want to see those parking lots. So we have opinions like that. We have opinions that you express to other people. How do you reconcile all of those?
Well, you can't, and you won't, okay? It's not reasonable. I think, however, I'm not saying that both of us may have looked at this problem from a particular angle, and I've looked at it from a different point of view. And that is that I'm not sure we're there yet. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 or 20 years. No, I won't go there. Okay, so the other...
We'll just focus on the next couple of years.
Well, that's easy to work. Okay, so the issue here is that because of grappling with how difficult and complex it is for families with 2 breadwinners or 1 and children, and basically the family life of the U.S. or the single life of the U.S., the teenage life, has gotten far more difficult and complex, especially at the rate at which so-called new technology is thrown at people and becomes available. A place like Littleton has the potential of offering something that most people, not most people, many people yearn for, which is called a sense of open place, where you don't have one building smack against the other. I'm not sure that's the best human condition yet. And I've been around for a while. So I don't really know for sure what's the best condition. However, I do know that lots of millions of people make compromises to live in very large cities next to each other. I've done all of that. So I see the charm. But Littleton, I think, is in a unique position because, very frankly, everything happens here so slowly. The master plan, the old one, I'm glad to say, the very old one, which we're about to get hopefully replaced, there were things in there that took 20 years. There were items that were in front of the town for 20 years before they even got to the start of the master plan. That's the sewer system, the rudimentary one we got in place, that was talked about 20 years ago. There's a consequence to putting in a sewer. That needs to be understood. And what do you do about that understanding has to do with, do you want Littleton to be a place that attracts people who like space? Open space, trees, roads that wind, hiking. Is that what you want? Well, you have an array of forces working against you. I've just mentioned a few of them. Money, government regulations, I'm not against them, but there's a plan behind government regulations that have to do with treasury issues, defense issues, and all the best. And it's very difficult for a town like Littleton to define its future. However, we're so slow that we have an abundance of wealth here in terms of opportunity. I don't know the answer to the tools you use, except that being told on a consistent basis that you have to use space in a certain way, and only this way, or if you don't use this way, funds will be taken from you, may not be the only way to persuade a town to do it. The other thing is to accept the town may have to face the fact and face its fate if it decides not to become a populated place. It's a decision that the town has to make, but it needs the leadership of someone like the select board, someone like the planning board. Those 2 boards, I think, carry the onus of one of them lacks still the tools, and the other one, it's an enormous job. I'm not sure they can address it easily. So my answer is that there's a uniqueness to Littleton. It has to be clearly identified, clearly understood, and that should guide, in my view, how the town wants to move forward. You can talk. The big problem is being what I call mission creep, where you start out one direction and the next thing you know, you've drifted off in a different one. And that's the only danger we face.
Thank you.
Chuck, you gotta have something.
Take a note.
I know all the mistakes you've made, so come on.
I know you do. I know
Gary,
you do.
don't get started with me. Okay, you know what you've done.
I just want to echo Jeff and say,
No, it's okay.
I think we appreciate all you have contributed to the town. And you always have a strong perspective, and I've always appreciated that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks again.
Do we have click?
Well, do you want to do a little
Yeah,
consensus gaining, just to see if, to where things are at?
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Just one comment. I'd like to put on the table that we not bother, we're not consider Mr. Scott, since he wasn't here to present himself today, that we limit the vote to the two candidates that presented themselves tonight.
Can we? He's applied?
Well, you
Has
can
it
consider it.
withdrawn?
You could say his name, you can consider it.
I think we will have to treat that as a personal decision rather than as an official decision.
I'll jump in if you want, Karen,
Yeah,
get things
please
started. I think given that we as a body have collectively determined that we are going to appoint somebody for the remainder of, till the election, and Mike being as candid as he has been, and Margot presenting herself as well as she did, I would be putting my vote behind Margot. I'm sorry, Ms. Bernstein.
Yeah, I continue, I didn't get to say much to Michael, but I think I met you, I was on Finance Committee well before COVID, I think, and you came in and he would say things that were, at the time, very frustrating to me. You made me think too much. And I'd go home and I'd be like, I'd really have to think about some of the things you said, and I truly learned to respect that from you. So I want you to continue to do that, because it's the ideas, the thought-provoking part of you is amazing, and it should be heard. It should be continue to be heard. But I'll stand with what I said before. I'm looking for a person that is going to continue seriously consider being on the board longer term. That type of volunteerism is very difficult to find in town, so I would be voting for Margot as well.
Mike, you and I have crossed paths way more times than I think we should have, and I think it's because you're everywhere, honestly. And that's reflected in all your volunteerism here for the town, and I appreciate it, and I think it's indicative that you stepped up and said, well, if you need somebody, I can be that person. And we're lucky. We're lucky that we have you and people like you here in Littleton. But again, it's because of the consistency moving forward, and obviously Margot is, presented herself really well, and just from what I know about her, I feel confident that she can handle what will be drinking from a fire hose. So my vote would be for Margot.
It was really great hearing two articulate people who want to work with the board, who have a point of view about what the board needs to do and an opinion about it. It's unfortunately rare in this town, but I appreciate both of you. And you have my deep thanks for volunteering. And I'll echo that what the rest of the board said. I would prefer to go with somebody who's there for the long haul. No slight on you, sir.
Everyone has an opinion. Very few will step up.
That's right.
true.
That's right, yeah.
So I appreciate both of you stepping up. But just going on what the Mark and Darrell were saying earlier, that they didn't want someone for the short term, I think you, just based on that, and the fact that Margot is willing to step up for the longer term, I'm behind her.
What you guys said.
You know?
And I would also say, the two people who spoke to us today, it was great. I mean, sometimes Littleton amazes you with the people, well, Littleton is amazing with the people who live here. And we're always, my wife and I are always meeting people that, oh my God, but they don't usually step forward to deal with this stuff. So we're really fortunate to have two that would. And I think because of the continuity, I would go with Margot.
Well, I want to thank the two of you for coming tonight and mention that I do think it's out of form to apply for a position and not come to the discussion with the select board on it. I think that automatically disqualifies you. I'm going to just state that on the record, since you didn't want to talk about it beforehand. No, and I've also appreciated your inputs during the meetings that you both attended there, which again, I think is another sign. It's one thing to sit home and watch a meeting on TV. I think it's another much more engaged level to come to meetings and talk to us on it. Recognizing that, one of the two of you have pulled papers to continue, I see it would be not in our best interest to just appoint somebody just for the two meetings that we're going to have. So I would be moving towards Marco.
I have to agree. I think it doesn't make sense to have somebody for one meeting. If we're going to do this, we should go all out and support somebody who wants to be there in the long run. I think you do a great job, Mr. Zeldin. I really do. It's just that we don't need short-term help. We need somebody who wants to be involved with us. And I do want to thank Michael for running. I saw you at our meetings. I listened to you, and I know you didn't agree with everything I had to say or the board had to say. But I think you understand one aspect of the board that is very important, and that's balance. I think you get the fact that it's a balancing act. We don't do what we all think is the right thing. We do what's best for the town, and that involves balance. And I see that in you. And I applaud you for that. And I think you're going to be good with it. Well, what everybody has said.
Well communicated.
No, I appreciate you both coming here. I think both of you would be great additions to the board, but I think that under the circumstances, choosing Marco is the better choice.
This will be a roll call vote. Move that the select board and the remaining members of the planning board vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 11, to appoint Margot Bloomstein to fill a vacancy on the planning board through May 9th, 2026 annual town election.
Second?
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. Chuck?
Chuck's aye.
Gary?
Gary's aye.
Matthew?
Matthew is aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Daryl?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And
Aye.
Bartlett? And I'm also an aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margot. Go see the town clerk. Get sworn in.
Planning board is
Sworn
adjourned.
in.
So go to town clerk as soon as you can and get sworn in.
Yeah.
That's it. He's not there now, though.
No conspiracies here.
No conspiracies. Bartlett
Sorry.
Bartlett saw them speak. He said, no conspiracies.
Very fascinating, two of them
It
together.
was, yeah. Yep.
You did great.
So, the planning board is adjourning its meeting, so I can leave.
They kind of went back.
Thanks, Bartlett.
There'll be no hazing.
You're not leaving yet, are you?
No, it's just a dumping of.
You're not leaving yet. No.
I mean,
Are they closed? They're closed their meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd finish clapping.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you,
I
Margo.
appreciated the kind words and the mentoring.
Thanks for stepping up.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you.
Likewise.
All right. That leads us to number 3 on the agenda, Department Board updates and requests. Treasurer Collector, vote to adopt the form of vote prescribed by bond counsel relative to the approval of a bond anticipation note.
Hello.
Hello. There you are. Welcome.
Thank you. We had our S&P global rating issued on Friday, February 20th, reaffirming our AAA bond rating. I will be posting that online. I have not yet. Okay. We went out to bid on Monday, March 2nd. There were 7 bidders for the ban. The bid went to Truist Securities. The net interest cost for the ban is 2.288%.
Go Robin.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
Even the fiscal advisor that we're on the phone with was like lowest he's seen.
Yeah.
So great for us. The bids, the rates ranged from 2.54 to 2.28. So the premium is $88,104.95. We will be using that to cover our closing costs, and the balance will go to next year's interest, reducing our interest to $191,000 back to the taxpayers. A little more than that, but round numbers. So I have the signature pages here. I can pass around if you guys would.
And the total amount for the ban was?
The ban is $7,209,898. The first of May.
Right. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
Just much lower than we thought. I mean,
Yeah, amazing.
I thought we were going to be high threes at
Yep.
best.
Yeah, we estimate always 5, but
Anybody
take
else?
the win.
Yeah.
Questions or
Yes.
concerns?
It's awesome.
Okay.
All right, move that the Select Board vote to adopt the form of the vote prescribed by bond counsel, a copy of which is attached hereto and made part hereof, relative to the approval of a $7,209,898 bond anticipation note and dated March 16th, 2026, sold to Trust Securities, Inc. Excuse me, that's Truist Securities, Inc. Don't know who I just gave that to. Truist Securities, Inc., and maturing March 16th, 2027 at 2.288%. Net interest cost for the following projects. Shaker Lane, $99,704,151, which was voted on 10/25/2025 special town meeting, Article 1.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I used to have to read that whole thing.
I don't think it's fair that
Everybody
they
always
changed it.
complains about that.
Just saying, you got off easy.
Next, we have the Affordable Housing Trust discussion about 37 Shattuck Street.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the Select Board. This was a suggestion from the Chairwoman for the Affordable Housing Trust and the Vice Chair.
Just before you get started, there's actually a quorum of Affordable Housing Trust members.
Oh,
here.
there are?
So,
We didn't post, did we?
no.
Okay, so you can't debate.
Deliberate.
Excuse me. That's all, but,
Just to be clear.
yeah, you give individual comments, but they can't be deliberate.
The board can't deliberate.
Deliberation.
Yeah.
Deliberate.
Okay.
And let us know if we're deliberating.
And this was a discussion that was reintroduced with the Vice Chairman and myself in regards to any desire for the deeply affordable senior housing to be closer, to be here at 37 Shattuck Street in close proximity with the library and the center on Shattuck Street, instead of what was potentially being proposed as going to 410 Great Road as part of the larger project with Lapoli. And so I then asked the chairwoman and the vice chair to meet with Tony and Maren and myself just to talk about the concept and the other thing. And one of the things that did, and I also did make the unofficial request of the Affordable Housing Trust to financially support the feasibility study for this building. And I had follow-up conversations with Maren and with Tony that in the event that we are in a position for that financial support and going down that road, we want to be able to have the necessary presentations complete well in advance of, let's say, a special town meeting in the fall. At which time, prior to that, we would like to be able to have as many input sessions as possible for public input sessions, and as in trying to educate and answer any questions of the residents. And so this is, and the chairwoman, Madam Chair, she said it was an interesting discussion, a good discussion. We all felt we had a good constructive discussion, but they felt very strongly they would like to receive their direction from the select board on, and then if there is desire from the select board, they would then go back to the Affordable Housing Trust group as a whole and put it before the board, before the Affordable Housing Trust. That's where we are.
Okay.
Do you want to hear from the chair, Madam Chair?
Sure. Madam Chair.
Should I move over here?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
please.
Hi,
Appreciate it.
Marion here. I am the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. And as our town administrator, Mr. Duggan, said, we met a couple weeks ago and talked about, or the request was made to fund a feasibility study for this building for 37 Shattuck Street for affordable housing. And it was a good, productive discussion. The request was for $250,000, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And what Bartlett and I agreed was that we wanted more assurances that this project would actually move forward before we committed that sum of money. So what we knew was that the original town meeting where this was discussed, the town came out pretty strongly against the idea of declaring this surplus. So we don't want to spend that money and invest our time and resources to only come back and find out that it's not going to be available. On the flip side, we like the location. You know, it's a good building. It's near the library. It's near the center on Shattuck Street, town sewer, all those good things. But we want to make sure that we're making good use of our funds.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Any questions? No? Or would that be deliberation?
Thank you.
So I'll start. So speaking as a member of the Select Board, not of the Affordable Housing Trust, I am completely in favor of moving forward with both the evaluation of this building and potentially turning it into senior affordable housing. My concerns about it are really around the relationship of that project and 550 King Street and Town Hall, and specifically like how the mechanics of how Town Hall is built, whether we own it, how much we pay for it, and also whether the units in this building that are built take away, whether legally or just in spirit, take away from the count of units at 550. I don't want to sacrifice affordable units because we granted the developer some extra here, as it were. And I understand that there's a lot of legal language around when the units can come online for 550 and whether they can be moved to 410, and there have been a lot of discussions about it. It's still not 100% clear to me how this project, if it goes forward, would impact all of those units, those affordable units in the other. So I would 100% support it, but I'd really want to be crystal clear about what the plan for affordable units at 550 and 410 is before we sign off on that, and also Town Hall. Okay. And I think the objection to the warrant article last year was that people didn't really understand where Town Hall was going to go. Mm-hmm. And were worried it was going to be a boondoggle. We were going to give it to a developer and then have to spend millions and millions or hundreds of millions of dollars to build a Town Hall. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, I think the other part of that, and that was, I don't want to get in everybody's head, but just listening to some of the public that talked to me, also not knowing, there's still a part of town that wants to see Town Hall here. In this, whether it's in this building, remodel, and that was an issue, that wasn't, it was never presented, what's that cost? It's significant, we know, but not having that, I think, available to show, what that looks like if you were to put a town hall, renovate this building, gut it completely, add on to it the footage we needed, upgrade it. That's the type of stuff, I think, having those numbers available to the town hall to show would, if we're looking, I'm kind of bouncing forward, if we're looking for a vote, those are the type of things that I think people are going to want to know. Because you can't, if someone is kind of set in stone that they don't want this to move, I think most logical people, if you showed what the cost to that would be, and what the cost is, what we're moving into, you'd probably gain a lot of votes that way. But it's just that people not knowing, like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? We're perfect, everything's fine there. There's a lot of that logic. And the ones that don't think that way think, well, let's just fix the building they're in. Or how, and that's kind of I think we have to get through that to advance. Or we're going to be stuck in the same, the same debate, I guess, if you will, on the town floor.
The funds request from the Affordable Housing Trust will look at this property for that purpose. It's not going to look at what is it going to cost for this to be a town hall, a refurbished town hall, or a reduced version of a town hall, because there's a lot more space here than we actually need as a town hall, what's remaining for offices. In regards to, we are constantly dealing with, some mechanical issues, structural issues, and things like that on a consistent basis. So I just want to be perfectly clear, those funds will not touch this building and say, what will it cost to redo this as a new town hall? It is, and this is strictly going based upon the vision that was expressed to me 2.5 years ago of, there was a goal in place to, the library moved out, new building for the library, 36 King Street, the new senior center, there was a vision for that. And there was also the vision of a relocation of a town hall. That's the way it was explained to me multiple times from various people. So I'm just trying to, and when we were at the last town meeting this was at, and to Mr. Rombacher's credit, it wasn't enough time. It was something that was just came down too quick. It would be my recommendation we approach it as if round 2 for the MBTA vote, it was a tremendous, there was a lot more outreach.
Questions were answered.
Exactly. There was something that was done multiple times. There would be a workshop. There would be opportunities for questions and concerns and things of that nature. What Mr. Nordhaus was talking about is what the vote of the planning board allows the developer that they can go off-site within the town limits to be able to build affordable housing. And hence the focus on why this would, deeply affordable senior rental housing would be here. There would continue to be the affordable units up there between
10%
correct, of 410 and 550. There is, and as the project is evolving, it's changing. But what is looked upon coming down in the near future is a mixed use at 410 is a mixed use with residential and commercial area. And then, so that is that point. There is still, and that is a handful of, ultimately, compared to the total project, there would be a handful of units that would be constructed there of mix, affordable and market-rated 410. Because there are issues there with the amenities, making sure that the amenities are balanced with the affordable units at 550 and the affordable units at 410. So you can't just throw all the affordable units. There have been real concerns about that in one cluster, in one area. You have to make sure there is that opportunity to spread it out. And then there is still a vast number of units to be built at 550, because this first round of units is 318 units, 9 of which are affordable, and the rest are market rate. And you have, of the 44 units above the retail that was just approved on Thursday, there were 4 affordable units there. So as the project goes forward, and it's gone, and 410 has gone from a completely all residential component of 286 units is what was approved there already. That is being scaled back, and retail is going in. So now you're going to have, looking at the mixture of market and affordable, and then continue with that model with the next phase across at 550 King Street after the first phase of 309 or 318 units are built. So that's the way I understand it in regards to the affordable units coming away from 410 and being relocated here. It's part of that.
So
The developer does
so
that.
units here would count towards the inventory numbers.
Yes, sir.
But it's not clear that because there are some in 410 and some at 550, some of those might move here, all of them might move here. Like, will every unit here count towards his total?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
Putting on my Affordable Housing Trust hat, this is a great deal to spend $250,000 to turn this into affordable units. Putting on my Town Resident Select Board hat, this feels like an end-around town meeting. We're taking money that the Affordable Housing Trust just happens to have in their account and spending it to do something that the town rejected at our last meeting, or at the May 25 town meeting. If we want to go forward with this, I would suggest we come up with either a warrant article for it or go and ask CPC for the $250,000 for the Affordable Housing Trust to fund this and have town meeting vote on it in May. Because otherwise it feels like an end around. And we have a very good chance that affordable housing would spend the money, say, this is a perfect location, and then town meeting turns around and says no again. And we're out to 250. So at least, if we're going to do this, we should get the town's approval before we do it.
So Mark, you're saying for May, you would just be requesting the $250,000 to even do this, just to do the
That's
study?
what we're requesting $250,000 from an account that
Right.
affordable
Has
housing.
the money in it.
That's separate, but,
Yeah.
and then from that, because that's kind of a preliminary thing, you're letting the town know we're doing this study.
And the town's supporting it. The
Right.
town's voting to support it. We're not going to a fund that we just happen to have money in, that we can do it without the town approving.
So if I could just be clear, the $250,000 is not coming out of the gate, is costing, I mean, we would have to, there would be proportioned. In other words, there would be so much that would get us, would have the feasibility study, would have the drawings, the presentations, there'd be that would go to so much of that. That's not gonna be the whole 250. So the 250, what that would include in the event it keeps going, now you're looking at you'd be looking at specifications to be written in regards to how it wants to be procured, things of other soft costs.
So if you wanted to write it for $100,000 or $50,000, my answer's still the same.
And I think it's important to have a scope of work. So this $250,000, it just can't be wishy-washy. It has to be, we're going to look at converting this to deeply affordable senior housing.
Right.
What does the relocation look like? Is that 250 because if we use money from CPC, relocating town hall someplace is not under one of the 3 buckets. That doesn't go under housing. So we wouldn't be able to use that money for that. But That's part of it. We
It would
need,
have to
we
be
need
tied
to know.
into
We need to
the
know
fee.
what the expense is going to be to relocate any of these offices elsewhere. We have to know what that looks like, in order for this to pass the residents' sniff test. I think that the scope of work is critical, and,
I would agree. And I know that adds a month and a half or 2 months to this discussion, but it's, the last thing you want to do is spend the money and then November and it not even, the towns are right where they were before. No. This gives another look at it, a little more discussion. And it's really just seeing if the town's willingness to, do we have the votes for them to even consider it?
But, I mean,
Discussion.
they could vote to spend the 250 and
Yeah.
then not vote to.
In
determine,
November, they
right?
could still, but at least.
Sure, but I'm saying, like, I think it feels like the reason that the town voted it down was that there wasn't any clarity on what we wanted to do or why, and that spending this money is generating that.
That's where I am on this. I think there were a lot of concerns, but I think the overarching concern at town meeting was there isn't enough there.
So-
right? And I don't know how we get this enough meat on the bone, so to speak, for this, for town meeting to really be able to make an educated choice about moving forward with this until we take some preliminary steps forward. I just don't know what that looks like, other than returning to town meeting with if you give us this money, then we will do this, and then this other thing might happen, and then this and this and this and this and this. Like, we need to start somewhere in order for this to be able to have legs, at town meeting, for it to have a chance. And I think a feasibility study is a reasonable place to start. I think as well that there, to Gary's point about, well, would this work as a town hall? I think that was expressed a lot. And I'm wondering if there's any synergy there, if the town can put some, would be able to put money towards this and have that included as the study, in this study, as part of the study, and, but we'll fund that part some way, somehow.
You mean if it was tied into this discussion? That was presented in May as well?
Well, or if someone's coming to do a feasibility study on senior housing, is there overlap of work then they could also do a feasibility study on converting this to permanent town offices?
Right. So that when.
If maybe the same firm could do it and, it's only 1.5 times as expensive as doing them individually.
Thank you. That's where I was going.
if there's a feasibility study being done on the feasibility, to determine how this can be converted to deeply affordable senior rental, there's that piece of current residents, if you will, that need to be placed someplace else. And if we don't have the answer to that, and that's not coming out of that 250, so now we have to spend, what? To do the feasibility on what's the right property to put town hall on?
Well, I mean, yeah, that is another related question, and I don't have an answer. How do we determine, let's say that we
If we don't have those
decide
answers.
that this can get filled up, but I mean, we're asking all these questions, and it doesn't get us any closer to resolving the issue. Like, I hear your objections, but we got to start somewhere.
It's not an
And if we
objection, I just
started-
want answers, because
yeah,
that's
but
what
if we
the residents are
started-
asking.
So if we started the other way around, if we were saying, okay, well, if we need to know, that before we do this, we would be saying, well,
Do we ask,
we need this before that.
do we ask town meeting for money to determine where to put town hall if we make this into senior affordable housing?
My objection is to using the Affordable Housing Trust money without a vote of town meeting.
Yeah, I
Right.
understand. Like, would you also object to us doing a feasibility study on moving town hall?
You can, as long as we're asking the town's permission for the money that we're spending on this, I'm fine with however you want to write the study.
Yeah.
But to go to the Affordable Housing Trust and ask them for money is an end around town meeting, and I'm opposing to that. If you want to write an article to ask for however much money,
Town meeting vote wasn't at the town meeting vote, we never asked the town whether they wanted the Affordable Housing Trust to fund a feasibility study.
so ask them.
It was about surplus. In order for us to be able to do whatever we wanted to do, we, as a board, we'd be in control of what actions we could take for this building at that point. And whether it was trust, lack of information, or just not a palate for spending that kind of money. There's a number of factors. Different people voted for different reasons, but it was overwhelming.
If we want to ask town meeting if they're willing for Affordable Housing Trust to spend money on this, I'm fine with that. If we want to spend it out of capital stabilization or anything else, I'm fine with that too. It's asking the Affordable Housing Trust to spend money without going to town meeting.
I agree.
It feels like an end around town meeting.
I agree.
I would agree with you. I still think, no matter what we do, the question at the mic is going to be, where's town hall going
Yep.
and what's it going to cost?
Every
It
time.
doesn't, well, what are you doing? You haven't even thought this through, and I don't want to,
But if we said we wanted to do a study on where to put town hall, the question would be, well, what are you gonna do with what are you gonna do with the building?
Did we go to town hall when the AHT paid 200 grand for the Browns Woods?
Yes, because, well, kind of.
Well, it was part of, we didn't say to the town, would you like to spend Affordable Housing Trust money?
It was part of the Affordable Housing Trust. The Affordable Housing Trust said they were contributing to the.
As part of the
Which gets
whole
voted
article.
on at town
It
meeting.
was part of the same article.
that got voted on, yeah.
I don't know.
I think
It's the Affordable Housing Trust's money, I guess.
that's sort of where I am on that. It's,
You know,
I am tired of having this building fall apart around us and paying tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, you and I know that, but.
Well, let me finish, please.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about, well, we're rushing this, and there's what if the town isn't willing to pay for it? There is a cost to our delay, and the cost is that the town doesn't get a vote on it, because it's always an emergency. Shoot, the fire panel's out. Well, we had to pay for it, because it was an emergency. How many more emergencies are we going to let pass, waiting for perfection, before, it's equivalent to a feasibility study that would have gotten this, off the ground and started?
about 10 fire panels is the answer.
Yeah. But how many, we already know we've got to replace, what is it, the smoke?
Strobes and stuff, and
Yeah, and this-
right, that's behind it, that's
So
compatibility.
I just want to make it clear that while we are talking about not wanting to spend money without the town's approval, we are spending money without the town's full understanding. And it's not nefarious, and it's not, because we're trying to hide anything. It's because that's how emergencies funds get spent. But it is a real cost, and we're making that choice, and I don't think it's the right choice.
I 100% agree with you. But I think
But
going.
we should still wait and see how many more things go wrong.
No, but we should ask so we should be making the case to the town that we need money for some study or something for this building. The fact that Affordable Housing Trust happens to have the money is not a good reason for us to ask them to spend it. If they didn't have the money, what would we be doing?
No, but a good reason for us to spend it is that we need to spend it in order to move the project forward. I understand your objection, and I just don't agree with the end run. Like, they didn't object to us doing a feasibility study on this building. They objected to us declaring it surplus and then immediately having full control over it.
But we never asked them to do a feasibility
But
study, so
that-
ask.
No,
So
I mean,
we're doing
that's a spurious argument. Like, that's not what the vote was about. Therefore, what we're asking to do now is an end run.
So what the vote was about was whether or not this would be declared as surplus.
Yeah.
Under the control of the select board.
Sure.
So the town said no.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're saying, so we're gonna do a feasibility study to do deeply affordable senior rental housing.
Or not, or maybe we're gonna do a feasibility study and decide, yeah, the town was absolutely right. There's no way we can make this work, right? Like the whole point is, we're not asking to turn it into affordable housing. We're asking to understand, they told us no, we're asking to understand whether or not we can, to give them the
But
information that they didn't have.
if we're gonna put it out, we did an RFI.
Aye.
If we're gonna be eventually, if we determine that this is surplus and we want this to be deeply affordable, we're gonna put an RFP or Q or some other alphabet soup.
Z.
And a developer is responsible for doing that work, not us. As a taxpayer, I would rather the burden be on the developer, not on the residents, to determine if they can make this into that use.
Marianne, did you have something you wanted to add?
Sue, I wanted to ask, is this open to input, like, from us as residents, not Affordable Housing Trust?
It's you.
Yes, sure. Is that- Okay, so just
Sorry, do you mind going to the mic? LCTV will thank you.
a few steps.
Thank you.
So, my thoughts and my perspective from having been at town meeting is that the town sent us a clear message, right? That they weren't ready to declare this surplus. And I feel that by us focusing on how we'll use this building for deeply affordable senior housing, for me, it feels like the cart dragging the horse. We're kind of skipping over the obvious question of what's going to happen with the town offices. And I feel like that, like, the transparency that we want with the town, I think that's the question they're going to ask. And I think they would rather focus the $250 on that, on answering that question of what's going to happen with town offices, instead of what happens when we vacate this building. So that was my takeaway. And I'm kind of supporting that, feeling like an end run with this investment. Thank you.
Yeah, I would add, what would help me in the decision-making process is if it went in front of the voters, it won't happen, but we went in front of the voters and said, how many of you want deeply senior affordable housing here? Because that solves the problem right out of the gate. If people say we don't want it, I haven't got that answered yet. I know that your board probably has much more of the pulse. You know what the need is presented from different surveys and studies.
We want that.
Right, but does the community say, we don't want deeply senior affordable housing there? That is another question that I don't have the answer to. And I'm still stuck on, no, we don't want that there. We want town hall there. I don't know I still think if that was head-to-head, I still think people would put a town hall here. I can't get over it. And unless you create make this a truly finance decision where this is a slam dunk, we're putting town hall over, on 550 or wherever for minute cost compared to what it would cost here, that would drive, I think, this, but
How do we ask people to make that, to cast that vote without any facts? I can't, I would never even cast my vote for that question. Which would I rather? I mean, is one $10 million and one $1?
right.
Are we talking about 2 senior affordable housing units or 200?
I've heard the dollar.
I mean,
I've heard the dollar remark.
100-year
lease for $1.
Yeah.
I've heard that. So
yeah,
it could be that. I don't know.
Right, but I just don't. I don't understand how we ask anybody to make a decision of that level of consequence. Do you want, what do you want here without facts to underlie that decision? Yeah, please.
Hi, Kristen Kazokis. I have a couple of questions. First off is, since the town meeting with that decision, what has the select board or anything in town happened to try to find some answers to the questions that you have?
You're looking at it.
It all costs money. It all costs money.
It all costs money, yeah.
Well, and after listening to the folks that wanted to be on the planning board, it was brought up in the conversation that there seems to be a lack of vision in the town, and there's a lot of reactionary things. And just listening to your conversation after that, this is a prime example. And I would like to suggest, having been involved with the Orchard Working Group, where there was a lot of discussions that came about, where some of these questions that you're having about what the voters are actually thinking or what they may want to do or ideas, that if there's an overall branch of let's not bring in the costs yet. Let's bring in, what do you guys want from town? Because regardless of the cost, the benefit of having affordable housing at this location, that brings up some different benefits that might outweigh some of the costs. And I think both of those need to be considered when making these decisions. And so having some overall goals, thoughts, discussions, conversations, because a lot of those things can be brought up ahead of time before these votes, and figuring out specifically what information do we really need. Because what are even the properties that we can be considering to move town hall? And let people start thinking about these things, because as over time, from what I'm understanding, a lot of things are brought to vote, and a lot of people don't even know in town what's exactly going on. They don't feel there's transparency, they don't feel trust. All these things are coming about because I don't think that there's a lot of conversations where the town people have the opportunity to have input where it's specific in the case, whether there's satellite meetings, whether there's a specific group you guys appoint. But I think that there needs to be an opportunity for these conversations so that we can start thinking about what you're thinking about, what we're understanding, what actually needs to happen on your end. The whole thing about the count of the affordability numbers with the properties at 550 and on Great Road, that's another thing to consider as well. And those are bigger pictures of an overall umbrella of what we as a town are moving towards, because you're dealing with a lot of moving pieces here. And there doesn't seem to be, where's the flow chart? Where's the big plan? And I don't know if there's, other things that are going on town, like the sustainability committee. There's all these different people that are talking about different aspects of what the town needs, but there's a bigger picture so that these conversations can come about. And I think that came through with Shaker Lane. I know that was a little bit different because of we were dealing with grant money, that a lot of people were bringing up proposals or ideas or thoughts of what could be done, but they're like, no, we can't consider that. Or if we go and consider that, then we're going to miss out on the money from the state. So that a lot of people didn't have the opportunity.
I'm going to push back on that.
Oh,
well, there was a lot of opportunity. There was a lot of opportunity
years ago, before even. Yeah,
these meetings happen, right?
Right.
But I take your point is well taken.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so when there was the big push to inform everybody what was going on, and I think that's the other thing. I mean, yes, we as town people in town need to take responsibility and take accountability, but there's a lot going on in our country, and what people are finding important right now for some certainty. And some thought from our community. This is where these conversations need to be happening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
I agree about the vision, and I guess I
do
feel
too.
like this is the way to start figuring out a vision. Is like, we're gonna have to spend money to do, like, we can't do the vision without information.
Right, even the Orchard Working Group workshops cost money.
We actually applied, that was one of the 5 submissions to the state, and for the feasibility study and we were denied.
The one stop.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
I agree with all of that. I agree we should be spending money on this. I just don't agree that we should be spending the Affordable Housing Trust money on it without a town meeting vote.
Okay.
But isn't that how is that our decision and not AHT's decision?
We're asking them to spend their money
Yes.
on it.
And they are fully capable of saying no. I'm guessing.
Mark is saying he has a moral objection to asking.
I think it's wrong.
You don't
I
think we should
it's-
ask?
No,
is what
I
it
don't.
comes down
I
to.
think
Okay.
we should be asking, we went through all the budget sessions. This didn't come up on the capital
Yeah, that's
plan.
true.
We didn't ask Finance Committee about it. We didn't ask anyone except Affordable Housing Trust, where we know they're sitting on money that they could spend. Right? We didn't come to all the other sources and have a way of going through town meeting for this. If it goes through town meeting on through Affordable Housing Trust, asking for CPC or anything, or its own article through capital stabilization or the capital fund. I am fine with it. But going and asking them directly, I think is wrong.
Now, let's assume that we spend the 250,000, and I know how these studies go. They're not gonna say, oh, no, it's not gonna work there. So, it's gonna happen here for $250,000. Yes, we already know that this is a good spot and it would probably work. With town sewer especially. So, then what? So,
Then we say, hey, we figured out how to make this affordable. Now we just have to figure out where to move town hall, and then we can go to the town and ask to declare this surplus, right?
I mean, yeah, then the next question would be town meeting, will look, we, either via the budget, to Mark's point, there's lots of different ways to do it, but, including the costs of a study for where to put town hall.
I still think it's, like Mary Ann said, I think it's the cart before the horse.
I'm still stuck on, does the town want affordable, deeply affordable senior housing here? And that's the question, I don't know. So that's why I have trouble spending the 250, because I can't get to that point. We haven't done enough studies with people to find out if do you want town hall here, or do you want deeply affordable housing? If we can find land and a place to put town hall, would you, those are the pieces.
I think Kristen's point is an
It
excellent
is.
one, that we need some vision and we need some outreach. And that would answer a lot of all the things that we're talking about we wish we had. And so I think that's probably what we need. My suggestion would be that's what we need to do.
Next steps.
Yeah.
So do you think that putting an article like Mark's suggestion is on town meeting would confuse people more? It would raise more questions?
Yes.
Do you think we could ask the Affordable Housing Trust to pay for MAPC to do public outreach on this and figure out what people want? Whether people want this?
I think that is, I would not view that as an end run. I
I don't
think that
think
is.
how could the Affordable Housing Trust ask that? Because that's not an Affordable Housing Trust spending money on affordable housing.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim already talked about between this town meeting in November, there were going to be a bunch of charrettes and meetings with the public to talk about the article in November. But that still, to me, a lot of times doesn't translate to town meeting. At the end of the day, those people are still going to be asking questions that, the question that I just asked. Do you want senior, deeply affordable housing here if we can find a place for town? And are you willing to spend $250,000 to get that started?
I mean, we have to talk about vision. We at our capital planning over months, we were looking out 5 years, we were looking out 10 years, and if we are having to relocate town offices, that's something that we have to look at when, what debt is coming off, and
We're trying to look at it.
we're trying to look at if this is gonna be deeply affordable.
Maybe this isn't the way. Maybe, this isn't the way, but my God, we've got to start doing something other than, this isn't, whatever this is, bring me a new rock.
Can we put?
Right, bring me a different rock.
we put
Bring
town
me a
hall-
bigger rock, bring me a grayer rock,
I agree with you,
We've
but
got to move forward, so are we gonna, do we have some consensus that at least some sort of vision planning sessions like we had with the Orchard is a reasonable step forward?
So, but we're talking about just the disposition of this building?
Yes.
So,
And maybe we can't, maybe AHT can't be involved in that, right? Understood. Bartley, you had your hand raised.
I think that you should go to town meeting and say, we've got this building, it's half empty, it's falling apart, we need to figure out what to do with it. We need a feasibility study to determine if it's worth fixing as a town hall, or if it can be used as affordable housing, or if it should be torn down. And, I mean, it's your problem, but it's the town's problem. And if you just put it that way, and you ask for a feasibility study, and the $250,000 figure came from, it included a feasibility study and other work up through schematic design. So you'd be asking for less than that. But I think just sort of putting it out there that you know, the situation, you guys know that the building is empty, that it's falling apart, that it has to be reused or torn down. And if it is used for housing, presumably the developer of that would pick up the construction costs, so that would take it off of your hands. And that would just leave you with the town hall problem. And I think that's solvable.
If we're looking to pick up the right rock, I think we have to be doing something in parallel. Because I think that without us figuring out where we're gonna put town offices, I mean, that, frankly, that financial decision is going to be one that the residents absolutely want to understand before they make a decision.
I get that, but, you know, we've also heard a lot, there's no way I'm going to fund this feasibility study because I know how that works. First, you tell us we need a feasibility study, and then we fund it, and then you tell us we've put too much into this not to move forward on the project. You know, we're gonna have major headwinds either way.
Well, we also can't be presenting things by saying this building's falling apart and it's the same as the MBTA
There's always headwinds, right?
communities. The first presentation wasn't solid because people felt like they were being held to the fire and being threatened. You have to do this or else.
Yeah, you're right.
I think going I'm just gonna throw out random numbers here, but if the town wanted to kick in $50,000 for a feasibility study and affordable housing kicked in $50,000 to see if it, $50,000 from the town side to say, this is looking at it for a town hall, $50,000 from affordable housing, looking at it for housing, and put a warrant article out for the combination of those, I can get behind that, but just to do it without going through town meeting just feels wrong.
And can they both go here?
Yeah.
I don't even have the answer to that question. That's what's crazy. You just said the town hall's gonna be a lot smaller. Well,
Regardless of what we do, we need to make sure that we have a tight scope of work.
Yes.
Yes, I do think it makes sense to combine them into one study, though.
Yeah.
Town hall and housing,
Yeah, in parallel.
now it comes down to money.
right.
So,
Who's got money? You got some money?
I can have my stipend.
do we have money to attach to a warrant article for a feasibility study on this?
No, because it's gonna be more than $50,000 for this, just for
What's your back of the envelope?
100.
So if it's 50 from AHT and 50 from the town, do we have 50 in the town?
You mean 100
100
per side?
Correct.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right. Because that's what, as Bartlett and I alluded to earlier, it's not the whole 250. There's a lot of soft costs that are going to absorb that 250. So back of the envelope is 100 to make the determination. And quite honestly, if I can just speak to the no conversations during capital planning or anything, that's on me, because here I'm looking at, here's an opportunity, yes, with Affordable Housing Trust having the available funds. We need to do something about DPW, and I don't see Town Hall, the expense of Town Hall, moving in front of DPW, quite honestly. I think that they really need to, we really need to focus on that. That is my opinion.
Well, you just crushed this whole thing.
Well, let me finish.
Well, I did, but I didn't. But you know what? Let's continue to, because this property won't be touched for, let's say, 5 years. We're gonna be in it for a while, because you look at the low-income housing tax credits, that's a 2-round situation. So, and that's gonna continue, which gives us the ability to go and identify the location. And quite honestly, I mean, as was explained to me when I got here, and maybe I should stop and tell me if I should stop reflecting back on the conversations when I started, is the fact of, okay, yeah, in exchange for Town Hall, then the developer will build us a shell of a town hall. But that's a shell, and to finish that shell off is $20 million. Okay, thank you. So it would be even more than that. Okay, so Plan B, considering the condition of what we're facing on a pretty consistent basis here, the fact of really looking at the need for the deeply affordable senior housing, the location I think is ideal. You know, do we look at a long-term lease for $1 a year if we sign something there? Turnkey situation. You know, is that opportunity out there? Yeah, it is. But, you know, in the spirit of transparency and everything, people will think that, oh, it's a sweetheart deal, that, you know, Lapoli, what's going on there? It's all done above board with attorneys and procurement process and everything like that.
Other communities have done it. There's models that we can follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, great point.
And it's not a window that's gonna be open forever. I think we need to acknowledge that as well.
So any acceleration or bringing this and not having it part of the budget process or anything, you know, as the finance director can attest, you all saw we're throwing pennies around like sewer covers.
Yeah.
And it's something that, you know, and the message I heard at town meeting was, not yet, give us a year before you come back. You know what, this is too much, we got Shaker Lane coming down the path, that vote has to, and that's when it was $1,500 a year for the increase in taxes, before the select board and the finance committee got together, and now it's half of that. And with commitments of making sure that we put so much money in during the budget every single year. Well, and we have deficit. We're gonna have a deficit next year of $2.8 million next year, and then the year after, we're projecting a deficit of $4.1 million. So I'm just trying to get creative. We are just trying to get creative and think outside the box and saying, you know what? Let's see how we can do this. So if there's faults in the process, it's me. You can just point it at me. I own it. So.
If we want to ask for money at town meeting for Affordable Housing Trust through CPC, I'm fine with that. Right, and I just heard $100,000 to get started. If it's possible to get it through CPC, I'm fine with that, but I don't think we should be asking Affordable Housing Trust to spend money without town meeting approval. The fact that they have the money is a historical thing, that we just transferred all the money that was sitting in the CPC bucket to the Affordable Housing Trust for them to spend. We quit doing that a few years ago, right? And the Affordable Housing Trust just hasn't spent down all their money, right? We did that because, you know, Mr. Venuti was very adamant that the Affordable Housing Trust shouldn't be able to spend $1 million without town meeting approval, right? And now we're basically asking them to spend $250,000 without town meeting approval. So let's follow what our finance committee chair says and ask town meeting. If we ask town meeting, I'm 100% on board.
The only way that passes a town meeting is if the select board and the Affordable Housing Trust come in a collaborative way and absolutely, you know, say, because of all the boards that we went around to before, planning board, the COA, the Affordable Housing Trust, they all voted unanimously to come, you know, for the deeply affordable senior housing here, the different boards and committees that we met with.
To make this surplus.
Yes, sir. Exactly. So, but, you know, this only works if it's a unified voice of support to do this. That's it.
I'm willing to support it, but not without town meeting approval.
I understand that, and
Okay.
that's the context
So,
of
so we're looking at a warrant article.
Can you still get an application in front of CPC for approval? Mr. CPC?
Different hat.
Your third one.
The night.
So, you're asking me to ask CPC for 50 grand?
100.
100 grand,
100 grand.
But then we still need another 100 grand.
if we're going to do.
Well, only if we're going to do both of the studies.
Let's see how we done it. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead. Robert.
Can that still be done for May?
Well, I'm trying to, I could ask for an additional $100,000. I think that they'd look at me a little funny.
But it's from the affordable housing bucket, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that I don't have to go in front of the CPC to spend $100,000 out of the money that we have. I do have to go in front of town meeting.
But what we're saying is,
Because the CPC has already given it to us to spend as however we wish, except for going to them.
So why are you saying go to the CPC?
If we want to put a warrant article to spend 100,000 out of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund town meeting, I'm fine with that too, if we end up back in CPC.
I think CPC would say, spend the money you got first.
Yeah.
That's fine. Then if we want to put a warrant article for Affordable Housing Trust to spend 100,000.
you were just trying to frame it through a vote.
As long as it's framed through a town meeting vote,
Not if we're not also looking at,
I'm fine with that.
not if we're not going to take advantage of the efficiencies possible and look at the possibility of using this as a town hall.
Yeah, it has to be in parallel.
It's got to
I
be
just don't
both,
see-
and so
yeah.
where is our money going to come from?
Way I understand the feasibility to look at this bill.
And what's happening to town hall.
Canceling your stipend.
Okay.
The town hall money wouldn't come out of the Affordable Housing Trust.
No.
Can't.
Can't.
No, can't.
It can't, but it would be part of the same study though.
Same stuff, right. So
I
maybe
think
some
that in that
savings
case, I
there.
think we would support the 100K if it's more comprehensive. And then we
But I
have
think
full assurance.
Jim's saying that
Jim's
100
saying-
wouldn't be enough for both.
Yeah, 100 would cover the housing part of it, but would not cover adding on the
So where would the
business.
other 100 come from?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Sorry.
So,
Yeah.
are you talking about the feasibility going beyond looking at this building? And evaluating the big picture of where in the town you want to put a new town
No, just
hall?
looking at this building both for affordable and for town hall, and for
That
like,
makes sense to
yeah.
me, because that's a shared responsibility and
Well, if it's not even feasible, then we can't even, why would we look somewhere else? We know that there's places, I mean, it feels like we're on a developer's timeline.
No, we're not.
No.
No, this
Not
is all,
buying it?
this is all driven by me.
Okay.
No, nope.
Then we have 2 weeks, correct, for the warrant.
Mhm.
So, I don't know if we can find the money to do this in 2 weeks. I guess we,
Don't look at me like that. I knew I should have gone. You gotta look at free cash. You gotta look at how we're using it. Because it's not a capital.
Honestly, I think just doing I know we say doing both in parallel is ideal, but I think just getting the town meeting vote on one of them tells you something. So,
if you want to put our efforts toward that. I don't like adding things to the budget.
I don't like adding things to the budget, but I don't like wasting money on 2 studies when we could only pay for 1.5.
but if we paid for if we did the affordable housing one, then why can't they use that information when they build the next one?
That's true.
Well, we already have and for
Just
the
have
town
to
hall,
hope
we
that
already
it
have the
went to
one
the
that we
same
did.
person because
LLB.
otherwise
Years ago?
it's just
LLB.
disappointing.
Yeah.
That other guy didn't know what he was doing.
If I may,
We can roll the dice.
if I may through the chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, is that a warrant article that Affordable Housing Trust would feel comfortable sponsoring?
That your sense is that aged.
Right.
Yeah,
Can you
just
clarify
spend
again
100,000.
just exactly what it is, just so I can
Just,
respond intelligently?
there was the warrant article that we presented at town meeting. It is sponsored by someone, whether it be the Select Board, FinCom, or Conservation Commission.
Right.
This would be one that would be sponsored by the Affordable Housing Trust, to request at town meeting to spend $100,000 of your money to do a feasibility study on 37 Shattuck Street being the location for deeply senior affordable rental housing.
So it's the exact, It's the exact same thing.
No.
It's, instead of us telling you, yes, please spend the 250,000, you're asking town meeting to spend, if it's okay for the Affordable Housing Trust to spend the money.
I thought we were also being a little more comprehensive and not just looking at this as affordable housing, but looking at town offices.
Well, that's the whole thing in which our internal conversations. We would need to identify $100,000 for the town offices side. And what the conversation is now is, okay, that is the best combination, but we just don't have the resources to be able to do that. So maybe looking at just what was originally proposed, going back to that idea, and that being generated from the Affordable Housing Trust to town meeting. Bartlett, do you understand what I'm saying?
I think so.
I'm back.
We're just asking town meeting to spend $100,000.
Still stuck.
Of
the Affordable Housing Trust. Yes, sir.
So it's not money that they actually have to spend, they've already spent it, because we have it now.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's more,
See,
it's
I
not
mean,
really,
it's a gamble, if this building gets used for housing, then it's a great deal for us. If it doesn't get used for housing, then we're out of 100K.
Correct.
So it's a gamble, but
But
I'd vote to do that, but I don't know what the rest of the board would say.
But I think it would, I think there would be a tremendous amount of credence if it absolutely is done by the select board and the Affordable Housing Trust in taking and, supporting each other in doing that. I think that would go a long way, because don't forget, at that last meeting, at town meeting, only one person got up and spoke in favor, aside from me, and that was Marge.
I still can't speak in favor of it. I can't. I'm going to tell you right now, we talked a little bit of the cart before the horse. If I can get answered, and if we have the money to do it, I would want to know, what's it cost to put town hall here? What does that cost? What does it cost to stay here? What does it cost to build this campus out for a town hall? Then, when we have that answered, we can say, okay, it's going to cost us a ridiculous amount of money. Town hall cannot be rebuilt here. We already know this building isn't going to work. That feasibility study's done. Then we can say, okay, now we start looking for another place and do a feasibility to put deeply affordable.
So the fear factor of what Bartlett had just expressed, well, we could spend $100,000, and at the end of the day, we could be out $100,000, or it could be a great investment. So you're recommending to spend $100,000 to determine, whether that is going to be the case for town offices and what is the cost going to be. The feasibility is not, it'll happen. Money, they can construct this into town offices. Everybody here knows that. It's really a matter of what is in the best interest of the town for the seniors and for town offices. So whether either thing can fit and be, the feasibility study can say, yes, senior housing can go there, yes, or a town hall can go there, and this is what it would cost.
So just to throw words into Gary's mouth, I think Gary's saying that you'd rather have the town hall feasibility study before we do the affordable housing study?
Well, I'd rather know if residents want a town hall here or not. If you were to say,
how do you suggest we get that? How do we do that?
do you want a town hall here or not?
But wait, literally, how do we ask that? Where, when, how?
Yeah.
Town meeting.
They would have to be Article 1 at
just a
town meeting.
clicker?
They vote it down, they
What do y'all
vote the
think?
Affordable Housing Trust down.
What are they voting on?
Non-binding referendum?
It has to come with the cost. We want to
How
find,
can it come with the cost if we don't spend the money to find out what the cost is?
I think that's really, Gary, you're not,
I'm
you can't
flummoxed.
get past that, like,
I'm
we can't.
flummoxed. I don't know.
Because we don't have a bucket of money.
Well, we don't have, and we don't have any idea what the cost is of doing it. And how can we find out otherwise?
So as purely a affordable housing trust, to answer the question that you asked, I think that we would support the $100,000 warrant for evaluating this for affordable housing. I think there is a bigger issue about the use of town offices, but if we look at it strictly with our blinders on as affordable housing trust, I think we have to support it.
Thank you.
Thanks for that input.
Can I ask a question?
You can, but you need to state your name and your address. Yeah,
Please.
sure, that'd be better.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm on the finance team for my organization, so I feel for you. Lynn Gonzalez, 132 Neshoba Road. CPC money. Can you guys ask for CPC money? Because, and here's my thought. And let me say my whole thought. Why not do a feasibility study for town hall that asks a company or organization to go out and do a feasibility study to say where in the town could the town hall go, including this building? And then how much would it cost for each of those locations?
You can't do that with CPC money.
Okay. It has to be related to affordable housing, or one of the other buckets.
Yeah.
Historic preservation.
Yeah.
Yeah, historical preservation.
Right.
And it doesn't fit the bill.
Yeah, like just general municipal government doesn't count.
I guess my only point is don't limit yourselves on the feasibility study of the town hall. Expand it. Like, go out bigger and say, where could it, to an organization, where could it be? And how much would it cost for each of those locations?
Thank you.
Okay.
We have done that as well.
We have the DC.
Like, we looked at the old DCU building, so we have done some of that research already.
The Indian Hill Music was good.
Yeah.
Town hall feasibility was done there. Town hall feasibility was done at DCU. So there has been studies to see where it could go.
Space
What did
need.
those studies bring up?
They didn't think
It
any of
didn't
them were
work. They
suitable.
didn't work. Either one of them didn't work.
Okay.
So this was before I was on this.
Don't throw me out of the
I
bus.
was on FinCom. I was on FinCom, so I remember the money behind it.
So next steps,
You're gonna
I've
go,
lost the plot a little bit.
I guess.
So I think we're deciding whether or not we're going to ask the Affordable Housing Trust to sponsor an article, to sponsor a warrant article asking for money for a feasibility study on 37 Shattuck Street to convert it into affordable senior housing.
Asking to spend money, you don't actually have to ask.
Yeah,
for it.
okay, yeah, asking to spend,
Authorized to
yeah.
spend the money.
But
What they have.
I think the question is, Gary has objections in as much as that's not the important question to answer. The important question to answer is like, what the hell are we going to do with town hall?
Exactly.
And I don't disagree with that. I just wish we would do something because if we don't do this thing with the Affordable Housing Trust, I guarantee you, nothing's going to happen at this town meeting.
I know.
And we're going to wait another 6 months and nothing's going to happen until we decide to do something.
I
So-
just hate the
Don't you
bureaucracy.
think though that if the vote is yes, we want, go for it, AHT, then don't you think that answers your question? Maybe not
It doesn't answer it.
comprehensively, but it gives you a lot to go on.
It doesn't answer,
Good
because
faith,
I already know.
I guess. It's
Oh,
good
you're saying
faith.
the town saying.
If the town says
Because I already know
yes,
that
we think.
this study is going to show that this will work for affordable housing. I
We all-
already know.
Yeah, we all know that. The question isn't
So-
whether, it's how much. And what exactly,
Yeah.
how many units.
It's the bureaucracy behind it that drives me
Right.
nuts.
So, yeah, I mean, I think, I get it doesn't answer
Right,
like
you're right.
which one, but it does give you, that there's enough people that think that this is a
Yeah.
good idea to move forward with it in good faith.
Okay.
And not, and not in an end run sort of way or a
Okay.
undermining.
And we're immediately
Town
going to have
meeting
to
way.
put money aside to start thinking
Well, I mean,
town hall stuff.
you were just saying to look at, Robin was saying to look at free cash, and I mean, maybe we can do it
Right.
in tandem, and if we are able to,
Yeah,
that's all, yeah. yeah.
right.
But I mean,
We all know she's going to find
No,
us.
not this year.
in the cushions, Robin, in the cushions.
I was just gonna ask how the money tree was doing.
All right, so I need a motion, right, we're going to go with 100,000?
No, I don't think
think
so.
you need
I
a
think
motion.
that
That's just
the
a-
the Affordable Housing Trust
can do
can
this.
Direction,
Okay.
propose the article at their meeting.
if they so wish.
It's the first step to get this.
If this is anything other than a great idea, guys, I'm hesitant.
I was just gonna give you one more
Go on.
idea,
Yeah.
what about, one, is the affordable housing needed in the town,
Yes.
right? Two, why not do a feasibility study from that aspect as well, as far as like, look out at the whole town, where could it go and how much would it cost, including this vote? And make it more,
That's what it
just
does.
bigger than what it is, that's all. Just thinking
Yeah.
about
Think
it
big.
a little deeper. If you're gonna spend $100,000, get the company to do the
It
job.
could go right on 550 King or it can go on 410.
Affordable housing is
We
starting
already know
that
where to go.
process independently, so.
The trust, yeah, they do that.
We're looking at everything. We have an RFP coming out,
Stay
right?
Yes, that's.
So could we present this as, that we're confident that the select board will allow us to use this building? And, you know, whatever your problem is in emptying this building,
Right.
that's not our problem. If the vote comes back at positive at town meeting, that
Feasibility comes back.
the feasibility study comes back positive for housing, is it a go for us, and you guys aren't going to stop us and say, we're having second thoughts?
Is this
about it?
the select board's number one way of dealing with this property?
But all the other pieces have to work. I mean,
Right.
I think we all support affordable housing happening here. As long as it can happen and it's the right thing for the town, we can find a place for the town hall.
I mean, we can do a straw poll, right? So would that be, would a deeply affordable senior housing be your first choice for how to use this property?
It all depends on. what we
Provided
find.
it is financially feasible.
Correct.
That we have a new home
It's feasible
and-
to
yeah.
relocate those that call this home.
You need a minute? Want me to ask Matthew?
Yeah, I'm not sold on that.
Matthew's gone, conveniently.
If we can find a new home, sure.
That would be my number one, choice for just how to
Can I ask
dispose of this
a question
property.
on a different subject? If
Is it about
this
German?
building is declared surplus, is that a public process where you send out for RFPs and there's no guarantee that
Napoli?
Napoli is
Correct.
going to grab hold of this building?
Well, there is that with public procurement.
Yeah.
There is also, what we tried to do at town meeting was to forego 30B, and that would take, the town meeting vote, then that would have to go before the state for approval to forego going out for an RFP, and just have the municipality do a contract with Lapoli to do the deeply affordable senior housing. What's that?
We just can't pick them. It has to go through Chapter 30B. We
No.
can't just pick it.
Yes, you can. If you're foregoing 30B, you can select the developer. And it has to get approval by the IG, the AG. And the only way that they will approve that is to make sure that the project is Davis-Bacon wage rates. So it's a union shop. That's when the approval will come in. So there is that way also.
Yeah, you'll make the public's eyes glaze over if you even talk about that, though, so, right?
No,
I mean, I get the legal.
I also don't want it to be a surprise, like, what, was you signing a contract with him?
Yeah.
No. I mean, that is the,
We did a straw poll. If it were financially feasible, would using this property as deeply affordable senior housing be your first choice?
yeah.
Thank you. Does that answer the mail for you? Okay. All right. Whew, thanks, everybody. You good?
Thank you all.
You good? Yeah, really good discussion, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Get an appointment.
You're not here for any other board? Can I leave too?
Maybe get water meth, didn't get anything.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Randy's been waiting to be appointed on LCTV.
Oh, geez, yeah. All right, let's,
He got me some, thank you.
Karen,
I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda. Next on the agenda is appointing Randy Martins to the Littleton Community Television Advisory Committee.
Come on forward, Randy.
Yeah. Is Randy Martins here?
Yay!
Come on up.
Wow.
Thanks for coming and thanks for sticking around.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you for putting your name forward for this. You have anything you want to talk to us about your interest in LCTV, or?
No, I've been a resident, over 174 Foster Street, been here for, since about 2007 we bought the house. And it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I recently reached out to Mark and spoke with him, and I saw the opportunity to possibly make an impact, so.
Wonderful. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
I will just say that I met Randy at the last LCTV steering committee meeting last week. Of course, he couldn't talk. We made him just sit there and listen, but no. I had to talk to you a little bit and your interest, a little bit your experience. So I think you'll be a great asset and a good contributing member to the team. So
Appreciate that, thanks.
Thank you for stepping up.
You bet.
Thank you.
All right.
Other board you want to be on? We have.
Dipping my toe in the pond.
It's like a tar pit, though, is the problem.
Chuck, all set?
Oh, just thanks. Appreciate it.
I'll just make a note that there is a letter here from the LCTV Advisory Board member stating that there was a 6-0 vote to recommend your appointment. So I'll take a motion.
Okay. I don't have them. Oh, it's up there. All right. Move that the Select Board vote to approve Randy Martins to the Littleton Community Television Advisory Committee for a term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second?
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Please get sworn in.
Happy to be part of the easy stuff.
Randy, thanks for hanging around. I know that was tough.
All good.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
You skip public input.
What did I skip?
Public input.
And members'
I'll get
updates.
to it. I want poor Randy to be able to go home if he wanted.
You did, right?
All right.
Oh, Randy, don't forget to get sworn in. At
The clerk's office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so tomorrow or before our next meeting.
All right. Public input and members' updates. Let's start with public input, please. Anyone? Bueller? Bueller?
Hi.
Hi.
Ben Gonzalez, 132 Bishop Road. I know that you guys are discussing a warrant article to come up for a vote for the town to do surplus for the Orchard House at Nagog Hill Orchard. So I just want to state a few facts that we all know, but just to reiterate them, that like a warrant went out in May of 2024, which it failed. And you guys recognized that it was probably because the town's folks needed more information, or they needed something else. And you guys took the time, you went to MAPC, and you did a kind of a town feedback, and you did a survey, and you did a lot of work around that. And the report, when it came out, was really about the town expressing the importance of the orchard to like remain like as much of what it actually is, right? You know, of course you uphold the APR, but like also for it to remain open space in the other areas and for it to keep its historical purpose for being there. And so in the RFP that you guys put out for the lease, you got very few responses. And I guess the concern there is when you guys got the proposals, you determined the criteria for evaluating those after you opened the proposals. And then you made a decision to go with a single owner company versus a tribe, if you will, that had an indigenous tribe that had a lot more people that would have been involved, and that had a pretty good plan that I think was comparable to Bransfield's, but you chose what you chose. And so I think the concern around the idea of selling the house and a small part of the property, I think is a risk, separating it from the APR. I guess just naming that first. And then when you go, I think in order for the town people to even consider approving a surplus sale of that property, I think they need to know what your criteria would be when you issue an IFB, if it's going to be an IFB, or not sure how you would issue the sale of that, so that if you were going to just pick the highest bidder to get the most bang for your buck, that's one thing. But if you're going to build in some criteria that includes maintaining it as like
the footprint and things like that.
Yeah, and I hear you guys talking about that. I hear you guys talking about like trying to keep the historic. Did the historical commission accept the house into?
Not yet.
Not yet. You're still doing that before you.
I have a whole bunch of updates for you.
Oh, okay,
after
okay.
this.
So okay.
But go ahead and finish your statement.
Okay. So, I think if there's a world where you can. If it were to pass surplus, I think, one, the town folk have to have some assurances from the select board. But if it were to go to surplus, to have some really strong criteria for how you would establish who you would even sell it to, I think is really important. And for how you would evaluate those bids or proposals that would come in, I think you just need to be more transparent and upfront in advance, and not necessarily making decisions because you saw what somebody thought they would do or suggested they would do, and to really think about maintaining the historical value, maintaining environmental protections that should come with that property, maintaining some cultural and educational value that could be a part of that, and also considering what, if an organization and/or person who would bid on it would maintain some public access, a resource for that property to continue to make it part of the community versus something that would only, benefit a company, so to speak, or benefit an individual, So just throwing that out there, I probably have way more thoughts, but I also know I'm really short on time, because of this piece, but I don't know if you guys have any questions for me, bringing up some of the points I'm bringing up. If you want me to clarify anything, I guess ask, but.
So typically, we don't do a back and forth.
Okay.
But if somebody wants to ask a point for clarification.
So I have answers to almost everything that you said in my update on the orchard, on the orchard later on.
Okay.
The only correction is, actually, for the RFP we issued, the criteria that we evaluated those on was in the RFP when it was issued. We didn't decide on the criteria after the fact. That's the only thing that I think was, but all the rest of your comments are totally valid, and I will, I think, be able to speak to almost all of them.
Okay,
thank you.
That should, hopefully will not take too long before we get there.
It's okay.
Anyone else for public input? Thanks.
Thank you.
Kristen Kazokis. I just wanted to follow up, just one more thing about the process with the orchard. I think one of the things that did happen is a lot of things were happening simultaneously. So town council, there was some change about whether or not there could be a lease to own or something like that. And I remember that information didn't come out till after the proposals had been received. And so I remember it coming up in the meeting that you didn't have that information, and then town council was able to give that feedback. So if you're being sure that the criteria is all ahead of time and being presented to the town and that we've got input on that, can we please just make sure town council looks at that before we get the proposals too?
Town council looked at it, but your point is well taken.
I can bring up the...
No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
was-
I'm disagreeing with the implication that we didn't have town council look at everything. We did.
Oh, I know town council looked at everything, but I think things were happening simultaneously, so the information that the Orchard Working Group and the Select Board was working with was different than what the had different information from when the proposals were
I get
put
it.
in.
I see what you're saying.
That's all,
Yeah.
that information is
Gotcha.
back and forth.
Right.
Because there is a delay when having to work with town council sometimes, that you don't always know ahead of time that,
Right.
so that's
Yeah.
all.
Okay, understood. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Of course.
Rob Rounds, 25 Juniper Road. Want to start off with Margot and get into the affordable housing, the discussion you had about this building.
I'm going to enforce time limits tonight, Rob, just heads up.
Okay.
Okay. I don't mean,
Okay.
That's all.
AMI. Forget this deeply discounted and other affordable talk in terms of, household income, and 80% is this, and give context, because you lose everybody without it. I wish I was hearing that there was an upcoming joint meeting of the Finance Committee and Select Board. You just learned that Park and Rec's sitting on $740,000. Maybe it's 100 grand less than that. They got a lot of money. They talk about cutting things because of the cuts that you made. You haven't taken any action. Disappointed. Are you going to allow the Conservation Commission to go forward with the docks without hearing from them? It's been months. They've now delayed things for months themselves. I mean, they got everybody's attention, and now they've just let it float for months.
No pun intended.
Yeah, right. We're still there, wondering what they're going to do and what they're going to propose. I don't know if you folks have checked in on it or not. Then move on to some of your other matters. There is a legal, you've been discussing this for weeks. You've got a policy number 11 in your select board policies about use of legal counsel. It identifies a gatekeeper process. I have interest as whether or not you're going to allow independent groups to come forward to use legal counsel. Do you do it like this, or do they just go directly? Seemingly, I think they're going directly. Did you approve conservation to get legal counsel pertaining to the docks? Be one
Yes.
example. I'll stop there. But policy exists, so I'd like to know if it is meaningfully being used.
We
or if
follow it.
This is dashed. And lastly, with regard to the Orchard House, but it's also this building potentially as well. You've got another policy, policy 18, sale of land owned. I've brought this up before. You've got provisions that require a land sale committee. Does this mean something or does it not? I'm trying to keep track as to what what rules exist and what you abide by and what you don't. So, thank you.
okay, so, no. All right, thank you. Anybody else for public input? All right, member updates? Mr. Rombacher.
So, last week, was it, we toured Kinesi Physical Therapy over on Taylor Street. They have quite the space over there. It was very nice. Staff was awesome. It was a great visit. And the other thing I was going to announce is, don't forget, mini golf is coming up on March 20th. 6 p.m. It's a ticketed event, adults only on the 20th. The 21st is family friendly, 10 to 3, $5, pay at the door. So there'll be a silent auction on Friday night as well.
Nothing for me
Okay.
today.
Chuck?
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to bring up is the weekend after that is Mamma Mia at the high school, and there's 4 opportunities to check out Mamma Mia. It's Friday the 27th at 7 p.m., Saturday the 28th at 1 and 7. The 1 o'clock show's encouraging costumes, so.
What are you wearing? I don't want to clash.
I do have my little ABBA outfit, I'll be wearing that. And on Sunday, there's a matinee as well at 1 o'clock, so just, the high school does a great job, the kids do a great job,
Yeah,
so.
they always do, yeah. Thank you. Anything else? All good?
No, good,
All right,
thank you.
Gary?
Just continue to thank DPW and all the hard work they've been doing, long hours, tough winter. Can't really see it today was beautiful, so and tomorrow's going to be better, so that's fantastic. Just one thing, the Littleton Littleton Bromfield hockey team they won the other night. I went to the game in Framingham. They are in the state championship. They'll be playing the Boston Garden, 7:30 p.m. Sunday night. for the.
Oh, they
fall.
announced the time?
Yep, so it's late, but they're running games throughout the day, so it's a big one. It's as far as Littleton's ever gone, and hopefully we can take it on. Playing St. Bernard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Very exciting.
That's it.
Right. I have open discussions with town council and asked them to evaluate whether we need to make a correction at this next town meeting to, I think it's 2023's Article 5, when we established a revolving fund for PRCE. It looks like there might be some information missing there. So I've asked them to review that and advise whether a correction is required. I attended the Sustainability Committee meeting. They are working on their cap. And it's really coming along nicely. The next steps are to start talking with Jim and Tony and start garnering employee input, because the cap will be impacting town hall and our departments and how they do their work to some to varying extents. But so they want to make sure that what they put forward in their draft is feasible for our employees. Follow-up meeting regarding, no, not that. Okay, Financial Policy Subcommittee meeting is this week. Yep, so there's something to look forward to. Town meeting report from Tony. I wanted to thank you, Tony, for all the hard work you've done on that. I know we're going to be talking about it soon, but yeah, I'm really excited to hear from it. Yeah, sorry, survey. Had office hours last week. Thank you to Rob for coming. ICE policy work continues. I received a draft back from town council, and so I'm working my way through that. And then probably, I think, put it out internally for input. And I attended the Charter Committee open house, and just wanted to thank the Charter Committee for all of the hard work they've been putting into it, and all the members of the public and interested parties that attended. I think there were a lot of really good discussions. So thanks for that. That's all I have.
I had one to add, if I could.
Yeah, please do.
Personal Advisory Committee and discussion about the compensation plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, after really evaluating all the work that the Collins Center did, and it looks like we feel the best option that we're going to recommend to the Select Board is to just go forward with the current compensation plan that we have existing, as printed in the budget book for this fiscal year.
This year, okay,
yeah.
Coming up.
It'll do a couple things. It'll allow us to really take their plan and integrate it into what we currently have. It's going to require a lot of work, and we were really going to try to do it by May, but we knew there'd be a lot of issues and outliers, and we'd have to go back and correct things. So we just kind of took our foot off the gas. Said, okay, let's go forward with what we have for May town meeting with the current plan. And that being said, by putting it off as well for the following cycle, it'll align with the union contracts, which historically helps us because then we kind of get a feel for what the climate is budget-wise, and the unions can kind of feed off of what we're able to do as a town, and vice versa. So we can kind of feed off each other that way. But a lot of work to come on that, and it's going to require a lot of position, changes and things. This is a lot of detail was put in. So we're going to use as much of their product as possible, and then we'll present it to the Select Board to get it on our next budget.
Thank you.
Karen, can I add one more? As we alluded to earlier, and we're meeting with the planning board, there is a town election coming up soon. If you want to pull papers, you have, another week and a half to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Go see the town clerk. We have a lot of uncontested election races still, or we have, you need 55 signatures, 50-some signatures. So they can fill you in, but.
And you have to pull papers by next Thursday.
Yeah.
Have them turned in the following Monday, right?
Mm-hmm. One visit to the basket is all it takes, right?
That's right.
Okay, so now we're back on track and back in order. Select Board discussions, annual report cover contest.
Chuck didn't want to vote on this one?
Apparently.
No.
I think one of
Chuck
them,
recused himself.
one of them was his, I think.
Yeah.
Which one?
Is somebody going to present
I like the third one.
what we're doing here?
Oh, we have, the drawings. so-
Yeah. All
I
right.
think it's great, all the drawings we got, and
I
I
love them.
really
I know.
appreciate all of them.
All right. So,
I mean,
they're not numbered, but we'll just assume
Those-
numbers and
those two-
orders, right?
Those two are my favorite. The one on the right is a slight favorite. But those are my two favorites.
yeah, I was going there as well, just because it really represents a huge undertaking and project that recently happened, and to have it immortalized on a
Yeah.
town annual report, I think is great.
I was a little, I liked the library picture, which was the first one in the
Shocking.
packet, but I also agree with Gary that the 36 King is very timely and very well done.
I love them all. I was actually leaning towards number 2, but Gary, you make a compelling argument that this is the year to highlight the new building, or one of our new buildings. So.
Yeah, and hold on to that Shattuck Street one, because if this building ever moves or comes down.
All right, do we need to vote? Or is it just a consensus? All right.
Vote to recommend the cover letter for the cover picture for the town report as viewed on the right of the screen, the Town of Littleton, Massachusetts. It'll be a 2025 annual report with a Littleton sign out front.
I'll second
Picture
that.
36 King Street?
Yeah.
Picturing 36 King Street, yeah.
I'll second that as amended.
All right. Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew as amended. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great work on all of them.
Yeah, thank you, everyone who submitted. Awesome. They were all great. Sale of the Orchard House discussion update.
So Tony and I met with Jenny and Tom from Harrington, Tom Harrington from Harrington Heap, or whatever they're called now. So I think we would like to move forward with a warrant article asking to declare the house surplus. We can put whatever restrictions we want in that article. So some of the, my take is that there will be some concerns from the residents about it. So I think that a lot of them, things like not changing the envelope of the house, use it for residential or agricultural purposes, many of the things that Lynn was just talking about could be put right into the article to make sure that we only sell it under those conditions. And I hope that that will make it more likely to pass. I also want to set up some public input sessions so that people can come and say, here's what we think that this house should be used for, or here's the restrictions that we would like to put on it.
You're going to have time, though, before town meeting?
So what Jenny suggested is we write the article and then we make the motion more specific as we get closer and put it in an addendum if we have to.
Okay.
Then after, assuming that passes, we do an RFP in order to sell it. The criteria and the criteria we would determine ahead of time. In the article, we would say that the select board would be responsible for writing the RFP and evaluating the respondents. We don't need an assessment. We can use a tax assessment as the valuation. We don't have to take the highest bidder. We don't have to take any of the bids if we don't want them.
Matthew, is a historical piece going to come in on this?
So
before?
I think that is one of the things that we should, I can also talk to the Historical Commission and see, we could make the sale contingent upon getting a Historical Commission, conservation restriction on it.
That's huge. I mean, that's a huge part. The Historical Commission is huge because it puts an enormous amount of restriction.
Well, it can be as restrictive as we want it to.
Okay.
Yes, it can be very restrictive, or it can be just somewhat restrictive.
Okay.
But I don't think that, I think that most of the common sense things that we all kind of want, which is, don't bulldoze the house, don't turn it into condos, right? Like,
Okay.
is stuff that I think with the historical restriction would cover. And so, yeah, so I'm going to move forward with, we've already got a draft article I'm looking over. I'm going to move forward with setting up some public information sessions, some input sessions, and talking to Linda.
It's roughly an acre of land with it. correct?
1.15.
It sounds like potentially the warrant article is going to be really narrow.
Well, Jenny said we can make it as narrow as we want, so I think that we can debate how many restrictions we want to put in it. I would prefer to make it only as restrictive as we need to.
Right, you don't want to overly restrict it. that
Right.
We know what it was used for,
Yeah,
and it's worked for
yeah.
decades. So it's really just keeping in that frame of thought, I think.
What is our plan B if we don't get any bids that meet all our criteria?
I don't know. Well, I haven't thought that far ahead, honestly,
I'm just thinking about like the Orchard, right? How many times did we put our really restrictive
Yeah,
RFPs
yeah.
out and, nothing, and then finally we put out a more general one and we got good responses. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have restrictions, I'm just saying
well, I guess what's our plan?
something to think
Yeah,
about.
what's our plan B if we don't, if the town doesn't allow us to declare it surplus?
To lease it.
Plan
Yes,
B.
exactly.
So
Lease
I-
it, no,
I
yeah.
think Karen's argument is putting fewer restrictions in the warrant article, and we could potentially put more of them in the RFP
So.
if we wanted, because if they're in the warrant article, we can't take them out.
Understood. I
Right.
think that it's a matter of like the town trusting us to,
Right.
to do things that we say we're gonna do.
It's
And I
going to be a
think-
balance, I think.
Yeah,
It's
I
going to
agree.
be a balancing act, and I do think we should probably think about what if this plan doesn't move forward for either the warrant article doesn't get approved or the RFP doesn't work out.
yeah.
Yeah.
We put money aside budget to fix the building and lease it.
Oh, man, no.
Man, no,
Huh?
you're kidding
That's a
me?
lot of money.
Way.
You said the same thing of the land, though, itself.
Did that answer most of your questions?
Yep.
Yeah?
Am I correct in remembering that you can't write the RFP until it passes?
We
the
can,
vote?
we can write it, it just, we can't issue it until we have permission to sell.
Because I think that might help with the whole thing about what the law is gonna
Yeah,
be.
I don't
If
think,
there's a
I don't think we'll have time to write it.
draft for-
Yeah, I don't think we'll have time to do it
Okay.
before town meeting. Maybe we'll get there. But yeah, we can't issue the RFP until we have permission to sell
But
it.
the restrictions can all be in place.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah, well, yeah, we
as
can
much as-
decide on what restrictions we want beforehand.
And the drafting process might be able to start.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think, yeah, we're gonna try to move forward with that.
The boilerplate stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
fill in the whatever comes.
And the public input sessions can also be can discuss the evaluation criteria that everyone wants to see about how the RFPs are evaluated.
I just think that might be helpful with the voting process, for people to have that
Okay.
out there.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. I know it's a lot of work. Appreciate it. Town Council Citizens Petition Assistance Policy.
I haven't done anything.
Okay. I thought I had missed something.
I was like, is it not in the packet?
Exactly, yeah, okay. So we'll come back to that. Close the thing for today, and we'll reopen it at another time. Town Administrator, Assistant Town Administrators updates.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Just wanted to just want to let everyone know that in the past, we have always, the inspections of the scales and the gas stations and everything like that was a contract with the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments. They would have that contract for multiple towns throughout the Merrimack Valley, and they have not been able to fill the position for the person has retired.
This is weights and measure?
Yes. And so as a result, because we need to have one of these, and to have someone on staff to do that has got to be trained significantly, and with all the necessary equipment that has to be purchased. The state Division of Standards is doing this for the town, and we do not have a fee proposal for the different inspections, because they had been done contractually through Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, and so now the state is doing it, and we just need to have the fee structure in place. That's going to be a town meeting. And we're just really looking for whatever the cost is from the state is just, we're not looking to add anything on top of it to our local stores or our local proprietors.
How did they pay before? Like, I assume they paid for these inspections prior.
They did. They paid, that was through NIMCOG, and so the Northern Middlesex Council of Government inspector would come periodically and drop off the necessary checks.
Okay. Okay.
That's
the surrounding communities.
What?
Surrounding communities dealing with the same thing? I mean.
With anyone that was doing with Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, yeah. There was probably, I mean, Chelmsford was one, I think Westford.
Okay.
Very good. And
their fee.
It's got a sotto voce.
You think so?
When you say that name.
Like a four-letter word.
It really is, in my vocabulary. So it's, we did try and explore reaching out and partnering with an area community, and everyone is going with the state.
So nothing's on salary, no one in town.
Correct, yeah, exactly. So that's going to be a town meeting. One of the things that the select board really wanted is to continue the childcare at town meeting. We've identified a funding source through CPC. I'm kidding. And we are making sure that is, we're going to continue to offer that service as the select board wanted in the past. And I think that will be reflected upon what Tony's going to report back on the survey. We're also, you heard with the borrowing of 2.28, which was absolutely fantastic. We've also had further conversations with the police department. There will be active shooter training between May and September, which will take place in all the town-owned buildings. The PD training team is reaching out and going to be scheduling different times for different departments in buildings. So that will be going on between May and September. And it's not an actual exercise in the sense that there's going to be a police officer that is portrayed to be someone. It's actually going to be a slide deck that is going to be as part of the training. So we will continue to see that. Last week, EHS, the 600 people, nearly 600 people signed up for events last week, which is pretty impressive, which is very, very impressive as a matter of fact. Greenworks grant that Diane Dickinson and Tony had worked really hard about putting together. Three projects out of that, one for $3 million, and one was, and then that was for the heat pump towards the Shaker Lane School, and then there are two other grants within the Greenworks grant, one for the middle school application for a canopy of $110,000 and a high school application of $197,000. And Tony and Diane had a conference call, and there's not a lot of hope for the $3 million, but they're hoping that something of the canopies will be funded. And that is it. I'll just turn it over to Tony for talk about the survey.
Do we need to create a policy for the childcare, you think? Are we at that point yet? Or it actually gets put into the select board policies that we will have childcare at town meetings?
If that's the will, if you want to see how it goes for a few town meetings and then put it in, or if you want to do it now, however you want to do it.
All right, Tony. So town meeting community survey. So we've concluded the survey which we conducted from January 26th to February 20th of this year. We had a total of 240 residents that participated. So the survey explored how often residents attend town meeting, barriers that prevent attendance, how residents receive town meeting information, and ideas to improve the town meeting experience. The following slides highlight the key findings. So under participation patterns, so we had 58% of respondents attend town meeting at least occasionally. 41% report rarely or never attending, indicating potential opportunity to broaden participation. And the October special town meeting drew participation from residents who normally do not attend. Of interest, I will highlight, not on the slides here, but we had in raw numbers nearly 39 residents who say they rarely or never attended town meeting show up to the October meeting. So which suggests that certain topics can draw new participation. How residents receive information about town meeting. This is, and in this brief presentation, full report we'll put online, hopefully tomorrow. And so there'll be more detail. People can see the comments and so on. But how residents receive information about town meeting, want to highlight this as well. Over 60% the town website, followed by the town email/newsletter at 53, as you can see, and third was word of mouth.
I'm surprised so many people are talking about town meeting.
I want to know what the other is.
Yes, I was going to say, in the other, we do have a generalized breakdown, typically keeping in a pattern of threes. So the three big themes that were coming out in each question that we had in other in the category. Meeting experience. So under this one, overall satisfaction with the October special town meeting was generally positive. Only about less than 5%, I think it was 4% reported dissatisfaction.
Victory.
An important note here too, that came out particularly under, we had an open-ended, like, would you like to share additional thoughts, something to that effect, under the questions under meeting experience. And we'll say the clicker voting technology is one of the most consistently praised improvements in the open-ended responses. So
that doesn't surprise me in the
surprise.
slightest, given the 2-hour single vote that we've taken in the past when it wasn't a hand vote.
Yeah,
So
anyone that's been here long enough.
that's a game changer.
Yep.
And again, those were the open-ended responses, and they were just have the full number on the report, but again, it was very consistent. So barriers to attendance, biggest barriers were family obligations and work conflicts. Open-ended responses highlighted concerns about late meetings and unpredictable adjournment times. Under the open-ended responses too, several residents specifically mentioned family, children bedtime routines, okay, and early morning work schedules as reasons that they cannot attend evening meetings. All right, operational supports. This one, also very interesting to look at, and I think it was like 3 weeks into the survey. I couldn't help myself. I wanted to take a peek, see how the numbers were coming in, and these stayed consistent. But in operational support, 79% of response support continuing the child care services, and 77% support the shuttle transportation services. I want to hone in on that just a little bit tonight. Only 23% of the respondents. So we had a section at the very end, the basic demographics, right? So if you have children, would they require childcare? And 23% of respondents said that they have children who would need childcare. And yet we see here numbers that almost 80%, over 75% of total respondents support the child care and support shuttle transportation. So suggesting residents see it as a way to support broader participation. So what's interesting is that the support for child care and transportation services extend beyond those who actually use it.
And why wouldn't it be 100%? I'd like to know what the name. We don't want child care. We don't want transportation.
Tony, could we clarify the shuttle transportation services? Is that the shuttles from the satellite parking lots, or is that the point-to-point shuttle?
So that was from the satellite parking lots.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. And that's how we had it
Yeah.
framed.
That was sort of a leading question.
I just had to double check.
Yeah.
Scheduling preferences, and this is the last slide for this. Again, the details will be posted tomorrow, but again, scheduling preferences, so residents appear open to exploring different town meeting schedules, but just sit back for a second, right? Most preferred option, earlier weeknight start times. We had 27%. Second most preferred option, Saturday mornings at 20%. We have the full breakdown, and to say that there was not an overwhelming threshold here. When we look at question 7, what day of the week in start time would work best for you to attend town meeting? And we did get a few other responses, but I just want to highlight, so earlier weeknight time, example 6 p.m., like I said, almost 27%. There were 64 respondents gave that answer. 38 folks responded keeping it at 7. 17 responded no preference. And then we just continue to break down from there. So do take a look at that a little bit further if you
Where's my
wish.
6 a.m. vote go?
Saturday?
That did not come out under the open-ended responses. So, but that, in a nutshell, that just brief, broad overview. And like I said, the rest of the details we'll post tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This was
Very helpful.
really helpful. I'd like to put on the agenda for next meeting whether we want to implement any of the changes that are discussed in the survey in May. The one I have my eye on is maybe in order to let's try an earlier start time.
Yeah. So,
Sure.
Can I ask, how much work was this survey for you to put together and collate? I'm wondering if we should be doing these surveys after every town meeting to say, what could we do better? How many people showed up? That
What
type
worked
of
for
thing.
you? And
Yeah, so I'm just curious, is it a big burden, or?
now that the first one's done.
Now that the first one's done, and so working with Nancy in IT, we actually use a module right in Civic Plus. So we didn't go out and use SurveyMonkey or whatnot. This is a free module that we used. Pretty impressed with the back end type of the operation. So if the desire is to do something like this again, I think we could deploy it very easily. Since now we're comfortable with working with the features and settings on there.
Because it seems like it would be useful to do after, on a
Right.
meeting that didn't have a big school vote or something
Right.
else.
Yeah, exactly. We could include a plug for it at town meeting too.
Absolutely.
For
You know,
folks to,
and if we change the start time to 6 o'clock,
Right.
were you happy with this, or?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe one big change at a time so that we can better isolate what's
Yeah,
working.
the time one's tricky because
It is.
you could move it to 6. Now you've just lost a bunch of people that can't
Yeah,
get
but
Who
here.
are trying to get home from work.
I wonder if
Yep.
you do some non-controversial articles at the beginning, and then at 7, you start doing the ones that everyone wants to debate, and then you tail off again. So that maybe you can take some of that, like, dead time between 11 and midnight and move it up front. There was
Yeah.
one, I think, when I was first moved here that went till 2.
I wasn't involved in that.
Yeah, I remember that.
We could move, Steve
That wouldn't
Moody
work.
can start talking at 6.
Wasn't
no
me.
one-
No one would,
Sounds like a select board that was trying to wait people out.
it's possible.
That last article was a doozy, probably.
All right, thank you both. Town meeting survey results done. All right, where are we now?
Minutes?
Minutes. Any questions, concerns,
No.
corrections?
No.
I'll take a motion.
Move that the select board vote to approve the meeting minutes from the joint select board meeting with Finance Committee on February 4th, 2026, and the regular select board meeting on February 23rd, 2026.
Second?
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I'm going to give it to Mark just for fun. Moved by Matthew, seconded by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone.
Good night, little.
Thanks for sticking with us.